Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group, and here at CMG we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men, and great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but you don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? And how often do you think about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies, doing the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident with your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website or give us a call at 860-430-5397.
It's been a pretty wet summer in Connecticut, and that means more mosquitoes than ever. If you didn't have your home serviced for mosquito control and find you're spending most of your time outside swatting those little pests, you are in luck. Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut provides the best value in mosquito control services because of how they treat your yard using the Mosquito Shield tailored treatment system. They don't use a fixed schedule or an identical product, one-size-fits-all service program because you can't control mosquitoes on a set number of sprays or visits. Unlike the competition, Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut will service you for the season, whatever it takes to provide superior results. This promise has awarded them an industry-leading consumer retention rating of 90%. Visit MosquitoShieldCT.com to schedule an appointment with Wade DeCesare and enjoy the rest of your summer mosquito-free.
That is Mosquito Shield. Make sure you sign up and tell them that Sports Talk with R&J sent you, and you will get a discount. So make sure you sign up for Mosquito Shield. So we're going to call a little bit of an audible here. I know I'm going to throw Justin a little bit of a curve here. We got a comment from Xander, saying, "How about those Cowboys?" So even though the Cowboys are on a bye week, and we got to cater to our audience. I know you might not like this, Justin. We got to cater to our audience. We got to talk a little bit about the Cowboys being 5-1. And to me, I am surprised about. We'll get into the week 7 games. Don't worry about it. But we'll talk about the Cowboys starting 5-1. Obviously, beat the Patriots on Sunday. 35-29 in overtime. And I feel like I think this Cowboys team is a Super Bowl contender. I think not because of the head coach, but I think because of the talent on the roster. I think Dak Prescott's played really well. I think Ezekiel Elliott's found his form. I think this offensive line, Tyron Smith, that's been a key. Tyron Smith has found his form. He's played really. He's back to that. He's back at that elite level. This is the best he's played in 4 or 5 years. He's been playing really well. And obviously the biggest reason is because of the way they played on the defensive side of the ball. Randy Gregory has been really good, as you saw in that game, as he got to Mac Jones a couple times. Micah Parsons, really good at middle linebacker. And Trayvon Diggs. I don't think he's as great as people think he is, but he's still a very good corner. Yes, he got beat by Kendrick Bourne on Sunday, but still a very good corner. And the Cowboys right now sitting at 5-1. And the big question we got to ask, are they for real? I hate to say this as a Giants fan. I think they're for real. Justin, do you agree?
First, that was a good game Sander Sunday. That was a tough one. Another heartbreaking loss to the Patriots. It's just, I think, already like 3 combined, 3 this year. And I don't know if that's happened in the last 20 years. They don't lose many like that. And the Cowboys, for real, I'm still – though they're a very good team, especially offensively, and I think the defense did improve to get better. I thought they had some mistakes, like Diggs getting beat there by Bourne. That could have been costly. I still and I know they played the Buccaneers tough, but like the Buccaneers, had 3 or 4 turnovers that game. Like I don't know if they're getting. I think I could see them winning a game or 2 in the postseason. I don't see them beating like a team like Tampa Bay. I think they could score with them. If Tampa Bay can't get healthy in the secondary, I definitely think Dallas could beat them. I don't think that Tom Brady though would lose a game to Dak Prescott in a big game. But that and I see Dak's definitely has
Dak,
in the MVP
he
category.
says Dak has to be in the MVP category. Most yards against Bills since. Yeah, no, I think he is. Dak has proved that he is clearly a top 10 quarterback these last couple of years. He's been really good. I mean, and really, if you could argue, without Dak Prescott, the Cowboys might be 3-3 because they could have definitely lost that Chargers game. He drove them down the field to get the game-winning field goal, and they definitely would have lost that game on Sunday. So yes, Dak, you do have to put Dak in that MVP conversation with Lamar Jackson and with a Kyler Murray. I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been phenomenal. It helps, with all the talent they have around him. There's no question. As long as he can get those guys the ball, this offense be really good. And then you got the two-headed monster in the backfield, Elliott and Tony Pollard, that help out as well. Dak the last few years has played really well. Again, obviously before that devastating injury last year was leading the league in passing yard to like week 5. He's been really, really good the last few years. I know I kind of questioned it, before that, should they give him the $40 million, and so far it looks pretty good for Dallas that they should have paid him, and because he's looked really good. This offense is really good, especially in a weak division where they're probably going to win this division by at least 3 games. He has been really good. He should be up there.
Xander makes another point. Defense will only get better when Lawrence comes back. That's another good point. And Gregory's playing good football. You have those 2 edge rushers, then you got Parsons, you got Diggs. You're almost ready to say the Cowboys could potentially, when Lawrence comes back. Right now, I think their defense is up average to above average. But if Lawrence comes back, this might end up being a top 10 defense.
I could see it the way they think. Because they're only going to get better. With Diggs, I think a couple of those, like Sundays kind of fell right into his lap. I think he's going to be a pretty good corner. Parsons, it's going to be pretty good. Lawrence, when he gets back, he's one of the better guys, in the entire league. So, I think that as this Dallas defense get better, I really think they do, continue to improve. I think it is a team that could win in the postseason, win a few games. I just haven't seen it the last years in Dallas, and that's why I'm like hesitant. Like I need to see Dallas win a couple games here, in the postseason before I really okay, can this team get to the Super Bowl? I think they're talented enough. I do think so. I just haven't. I just need to see it. I know it's a new coach with McCarthy, but McCarthy won one with Rodgers, which but again, we know he's not the greatest coach in the world, so. It'll be interesting, but I definitely do think you have to put Dallas as a title contender because they have so much talent right now. And they're probably going to win 12, maybe 13 games with just how bad the division is right now. I don't see them losing to either the Giants, Washington, or Eagles.
Yeah, here's a comment. I fear the Packers more than I fear Tampa, as crazy as it sounds. I don't know if Tampa's secondary will be healthy enough to last the season. Yes, I understand that, but I would fear Tampa more just because they're the defending champions and they have a better defense. And you don't know when the Packers are going to get Jari Alexander back either. So I don't know when they're going to get Zadarius Smith or Jari Alexander back. So I know the Cowboys historically have had trouble with the Packers, but I personally would still fear Tampa more just because they're the defending champs. And if you play Tom Brady in a postseason game, you just can't bet against them, especially with a roster like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so too, because Tampa Bay is going to take that running game away. They're going to make it one-dimensional. Yeah, who knows how healthy the secondary is going to be. Again, if Tampa's still really banged up there, then I could see Dallas getting by them, because, again, I could see them put up 35 points because the only way you're beating the Bucs is kind of in a shootout, especially in the playoffs. It's pretty hard to slow down Tom Brady in the playoffs in a big spot. So I feel like, if they could put up some points, they could beat them. But I think Tampa, they're Super Bowl contenders. That roster they have is really, really good. The defense is, beside the rushing defense is phenomenal. It's I think still the best in the league right now. Like they're gonna make you one dimensional after the ball, but you don't, And again, if Brady's got the ball too with under 2 minutes left and they need to score, Tom's not losing that game either. So I think you have to fear the Bucs still a little bit more than the Packers. The Packers are still a really good football team as well.
Oh, absolutely. And then don't forget, you got the Rams and the Cardinals. And I think you could argue the Cardinals are probably the best team in the NFC. And the Rams are right there, one of the top 3 teams in the NFC. But we got to get into week 7, and we'll start with the Thursday night game as the Broncos travel to Cleveland to face the Browns. And this is a game of two teams that are banged up. Broncos lost Alexander Johnson for the season, but the Browns are much more banged up as they're not going to have Kareem Hunt. They might not have they're probably not going to have Jarvis Landry. They might not have Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb is cool, though.
What do you say? Nick Chubb's out too? What do you say?
Yeah, I think Nick Chubb's out. And I thought I saw something this morning. I thought I saw this morning, too, that Baker was going to be out as well. I'm trying to
Baker's out. Baker's officially out. Baker's officially out.
out.
It's going to be Case Keenum. Yeah. Case Keenum starting against the Broncos. And but I still think this is going to be a close, competitive game, defensive struggle. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to take the Browns. And thanks, Chubb and Hunt are out. But even without Chubb and Hunt, because I feel like Cleveland's defense, the difference in this game is going to be Cleveland's defense with Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney are going to get pressure on Teddy Bridgewater, just like Max Crosby did last week. And I feel like it's going to be a close, low-scoring game, maybe a turnover. Each quarterback turns the ball over once. I think it's a close, competitive game. But I got the Browns beating the Broncos 21-17 on Thursday night. But Justin, can the Broncos D carry them and help them snap their 3-game losing streak?
I could see it with everybody got out, but I do have the Browns winning on Thursday night, 17-13. I think Denver is going to have to force a couple of turnovers against Case Keenum. It's a short week, too, now. Case Keenum probably took most of the first-team reps yesterday. Obviously now is definitely taking all the first-team reps today. So, but, it's a short week for Case Keenum to get ready for this game. It's a good Denver defense. If they can get after him, get a couple of sacks, Arizona did a really good job of that last week against Baker. I could definitely see Broncos having a chance in this game. Their defense really struggled last week against Las Vegas, struggled against the Steelers. They're not playing the Giants, Jags, or Jets anymore. And you've kind of see a little bit more hold, but it's still a really good defense. I see them keeping them in the game, but I just don't see the offense being able to take enough, or their offense taking enough advantage of the Browns. I don't see I don't see their offense being able to do enough against this Cleveland defense. I think they play a lot better this week.
We got a matchup in the Meadowlands of a guy that the Giants could have taken in Sam Darnold as he brings his Carolina Panthers up to the Meadowlands to face the Giants. And the Giants had an absolutely terrible week last week against the Rams, pretty much in all phases. Yes, the defense started off the game pretty well, but the offense was absolutely terrible. Then the defense in the second half, from the middle of the second quarter on, was absolutely terrible. And I think in this game, just because of the Panther injuries, just because Christian McCaffrey's not going to play, I mean, Stephon Gilmore's back at practice, but even if he plays, he's going to be rusty. The Giants are going to have injuries. Obviously Tony's going to be out. Andrew Thomas was just put on IR. Saquon Barkley probably won't play. We don't know if Kenny Galladay is going to play. I do think the Giants defense forced a turnover from Sam Darnold because Sam Darnold, he'll throw that one terrible interception every game. So I think that happens in this game. But I do think Daniel Jones has a really bad turnover in this game too. I think it's a close, competitive game. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take the team that knows how to win these games, who knows how to win these games. And I feel like a team like the Carolina Panthers knows how to win these games more than a team like the New York Giants does. And that's why I got the Panthers beating the Giants 27-20. But Justin, can the Giants D and Daniel Jones bounce back for them to pull the upset?
It's going to be tough. I got the Panthers going on the road, winning this game 23-17. Both teams are very banged up. Sam Darnold, again, he had 12 completions going that final drive last week, and they went down 99 yards to tie that thing up and go to overtime. I think Chuba Hubbard could run the ball this week. I think he had a big game on the ground because it sounds like that's going to be more their emphasis instead of the passing game, which has really struggled the last couple of weeks. I think the Giants do get some pressure on them because Carolina's offensive line is great. So, yeah, I think Darnold probably throws an interception too. But can Daniel Jones often take advantage? You just lost Andrew Thomas, as you mentioned. Carolina, I think, has 16 sacks of the year. I think they're gonna get after the Giants. You saw what the Rams were able to do that last week. Daniel Jones was hit hard a couple times. I think it's gonna be a lot closer than it was last week. But I see Carolina figuring out a way to get this thing done on the road. And I think their defense makes enough plays. Carolina's defense to win this game on the road. I had the Panthers win this game 23-17. Yeah,
I mean, I think I could see, because the way the Giants are playing, I could see them getting blown out. And I mean, it's another story for another day for the way they've been struggling. I mean, their jobs are definitely on the line there. Joe Judge's job is definitely on. And he uses coming from Xander. Giants lose this game. It's safe to call their season over. Plan to draft and look for. I agree with the first point. They lose this game, their season's definitely over because that's another loss to another NFC team, and they'd already have 6 losses in their first 7 games. So first point, I agree. Second point, I feel like it depends on how Daniel Jones plays because there could be a chance on Sunday because of how because the defense hasn't played well this year and with all the injuries that Daniel Jones could play a good game and the Giants could lose. That happened against Washington earlier in the season. So I would not. At the second point, I'm still not. I still haven't came up with as a Giants fan. I still haven't came to a decision on the quarterback. First point from Xander, really good point because that's 100% true. Second point, I still have not came to a decision on the quarterback. And even if he plays well this week and they lose, I still won't have a decision. I still will not be saying get rid of the quarterback. I mean, yes, I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sold he's the franchise guy, but I'm not giving up on him. Even if they lose close and he plays well, I'm not going to be giving up on him.
Yeah, I agree with Taylor's fair point. I think it's gonna be 1-6. Wouldn't this be like the third straight year you're 1-6?
It would be the third. It would be the third. It would be the 4th time in 5 years we'd be 1-6. 4th time in 5 years.
Wow.
And it'd be the 3rd time in the Dave Gettleman year. So if this, go ahead, Justin.
Yeah. Okay, because I saw too since 2017 they have the worst record, 19-51 in the whole league, and that's worse than the Jets. Like that's again. That's not, the Giants should not be there. But yeah, then my last point I was going to say about Dana Jones, because Dana Jones hasn't been one of the bigger problems. I think he's played pretty well. I know last week he had a rough one, but he was coming off a concussion, playing a really good Rams team. He was put in a tough, last week was a kind of tough spot for him. And then I think you look at next year's draft class 2 quarterback. I don't know how many franchise quarterbacks are out there right now, besides like Matt Corral. Malik Willis has played well, but again, I haven't been overly impressed with him. But I don't know if you would find a franchise quarterback next year in the 1st round. So and I think the verdict's still out on Daniel Jones, but he has.
Jace wants to tank for Thibs, and if we could get Kayvon Thibodeau, that would be nice. But the problem is, if we're that bad, if we only have like 1 or 2 wins, we're not bringing the quarterback back. This is the NFL. You don't bring your quarterback back if you have 1 or 2 wins in the NFL in 2021. You're not bringing your quarterback back if you have 2 wins. So it's a very, very slim chance the Giants get Kayvon Thibodeau.
Probably, because too it's a new GM and the new GM is going to want his own quarterback. Picking off your point there, so yeah, that'd be great for you guys, Thibodeau to bring that edge rusher there, but. Yeah, the new GM would probably go after a quarterback, I feel like, to get his own guys. But that would be a great pickup for you guys. Even though, it would not be great to finish 1-16 or 2-15 or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. But if we finish 1 or 15 and 2-16, we finished like 1-16 or 2-15, we're getting a new quarterback. That's for sure. But as you brought up, Justin, with the slow starts, with 3 of those 4 years, if we start 1-6 on Sunday, 3 of those 4 years would be with Dave Gettleman. That's why Dave Gettleman's got to be fired. And I said it last week. Why are you drafting Saquon Barkley with the 2nd overall pick when you can take Josh Allen? He's a great player, but he can't stay healthy. Josh Allen would have been definitely a better value pick. You go out and get Kenny. Spend $18 million on Kenny Galladay, but he can't stay on the field, and he has an injury history. Yes, if you just got hurt that 1 year, okay, that's bad luck, just like with Andrew Thomas. But if the guy has a history of not being able to stay healthy, that's on the GM. What's going on with the Giants? The number one reason the Giants are struggling is because of Dave Gettleman.
Yeah, absolutely, and I know this is the Giants' way. It always has been that they always have to bring in guys that they know and that's kind of been in their organization for. I know that's their philosophy, but I think you got to change some of that style because, I know we brought Carolina to the Super Bowl, but it's been there really hasn't been much positive. I guess last year at the end, the way they finished was a positive, but again, all momentum they had is completely gone. And Galladay, the injury history, but if he was able to stay healthy, again, it would have been a nice pickup. But he couldn't stay healthy. The Toney draft. Again, I know he's hurt now, but the last few weeks he looks like he could be a really, really good wide receiver. yeah, Barkley, again, like it's tough to draft a running back nowadays at second overall. It's like, unless that running back's going to be Bo Jackson or, like or Barry Sanders. Again, it's too risky. It's too risky to draft one of those guys nowadays, especially Barkley. It's just been unfortunate. He just hasn't been able to stay on the field. So, yeah, Gettleman, it's time to go. I don't think they'll get rid of him in the middle of the season, but 100%, he's got to go at the end of the year. There's no possible way he should have a job next year.
Absolutely. But we got to move on to your team, and your team's got a divisional matchup in Fox at home against the Jets. And we know this is like one of the few teams the Patriots been able to beat the last 2 years. The one thing they've been consistent with is they've been able to beat the Jets, and I think that continues on Sunday. I feel like they force a turnover or two from Zach Wilson. I feel like they'll let Mac Jones. There's another, which we'll talk about. They'll let Mac Jones manage this game, not they'll let him manage this game. I think they'll have success on the ground with Damian Harris. I think they won't score a ton of touchdowns, but they'll kick field goals because they're winning the game and they'll play not to lose. But I do think the Patriots will come away with another win over the Jets. I got them winning 23-10 over the Jets on Sunday. But Justin, can Zach Wilson have a bounce back game and help the Jets get their second win of the season?
I don't think he will. I got the Pats win this game 24-13. I don't think Wilson's going to throw 4 INTs this week, but I think the Patriots force them to make a couple. I think the Jets averaged 5 yards a carry last week 2 against them. I think they could have success again running the ball against them. But again, I see Zach Wilson not being able to do enough in this game. Again, the Patriots secondary has not been very good the last few weeks. I get the pretty much old defense. Casey Jackson's been consistent, I guess, at times. Matthew Judon's really been the only consistent guy in this defense all year. I think Matthew Judon has a couple sacks in this game. He's been a phenomenal pickup for us. That's really about been it for this defense. But yeah, I think they do enough in Zach Wilson. They force a couple turnovers, and they finally win their first home game. They'll be 1-4 at home. 5 of your first 7 games at home, and you're going 1-4. So good job.
That's just crazy. That's just crazy. The funny thing is the team is 2-4. But it's not Mac Jones' fault. I thought he played pretty well against the Dolphins. I mean, it was okay. He was pretty good against the Jets. Yes, against the Saints, that was by far his worst game. Didn't play that poorly against the Bucs. Really, in 5 of the 6 games, he's played pretty well. The problem has been the roster construction of this team. I think really the one free agent, you said it, that's worked out has been Matthew Judon. The rest really, Hunter Henry's been okay, but the rest haven't. Jonas Smith and Nelson Aguilar have been total waste of money. They've been absolutely terrible. Jalen Mills, the same thing. He's been terrible too. He got burnt on that play at the end of the game by CeeDee Lamb. Those guys have been absolutely terrible. I feel like Belichick has done a poor job really putting this roster together. He didn't draft well. That's why Brady left. And then he tried to patch up in free agency, and he really hasn't done that too. And also, I think, here's what I don't get about Belichick. Last year, they went 7-9, but they had a really bad, didn't have a good quarterback. And I didn't think he did that bad of a job coaching. 7-9 with a washed up Cam Newton and not a great roster. He did to win 7 games, stole a couple games against Baltimore and Arizona. You still could say Belichick's one of the top coaches in the league. This year, I hate to say it, I feel like Bill's starting to lose his way a little bit. And the thing I don't get is how do you want Mac Jones to be your starting quarterback and you don't have confidence in him, and you don't have confidence in him in certain situations? The 4th down against the Buccaneers, you kick the field goal, and then you miss it. And even if you make that field goal, you're giving the ball back to Tom Brady. And then last week, which made no sense to me, is 4th down and 3, he goes for it. He goes for it at midfield. He doesn't go for it. He punts at midfield. This is the NFL in 2021. You cannot punt when you have the ball at midfield. You got to go for it there. I knew when that ball was in when they get the ball back to Dak Prescott, and I text you, I said, game over. Cowboys are going to win. You just can't do the way your defense was playing. There's no way you could have given the ball back to Dak Prescott there.
Yeah, I when you type me, I completely agree with you. And I would love to see that. I know.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that. Enough guys. Here's the problem. Are they going to be able to get that talent? Because that's what happened with Brady. That's why Brady left, because they failed to get that talent. In the 2018 draft, they passed on Nick Chubb and they got Sony Michel, and Sony Michel has been traded. In 2019, they could have had A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, and DK Metcalf. And guess what they ended up with? N'Keal Harry, who's been a major bust. The college scouting of the Patriots has been total trash. That's why they're in this situation. And that's the thing is, that's why I said to Justin after the game on Sunday, I think Trey Lance is in a better situation than Mac Jones, because I feel like Mac Jones has the talent and a little bit better offensive coaching. I think Mac Jones. I don't mind the way Mac Jones is playing. The problem is I don't know if I could trust the Patriots to put a good enough team around him.
No, I don't either. And I know I texted you we should fire McDaniels, and I think I know you told me I went a little bit too far, which after a few days, yes, I probably went too far. Even though McDaniels I'm getting fed up with this play calling because it's ridiculous. They don't give him.
They say the schedule is bad enough. But the problem is they've missed on so many. They don't draft well. They don't draft well at all. That's the problem with the Patriots, and that was an issue even in the second half of Brady's career. The thing for them is that Brady was so good he was able to cover up all their poor drafting. That's what happens to the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm no offense to Mac Jones, but now that you got to be able to draft well. And as we've said, right now I don't trust the Patriots are going to get it right in the draft.
No, I don't either. And again, it's disappointing. Yeah, you would think at this moment their schedule is going to get tougher in the next couple of weeks, and they're not going to win too many games. I don't think. I could see them being around 500, hovering around there. But they haven't drafted well at all. Mac Jones so far looks like a good draft pick. So far. Again, I hope I don't jinx him here, but yeah, he hasn't been the problem. And the thing is, it's just like he's not your problem. Like, just let him air it out. Like, and I know Diggs kind of got beat there and tried to make the hero play and try to get another interception, but they had the deep play to Kendrick Bourne. Why don't you let him air it out again? He's completing like 72% of his passes, something like that. Like, he's playing well, and I know you're playing dink and dunk football, but again, like, what has he shown you that you don't like? And I just don't get why they're just kind of, like they opened it up more last year for Cam Newton than they are for Mac, and I just frustrating to watch for him. And they're
you guys are basically saying, welcome to the 25-year. If they don't get a general manager that knows how to scout college talent, that could very easily be the case. They could have a good quarterback in Mac Jones and be, around hovering around 500 a lot of years. That's what happened, with the Cowboys in Romo's prime. They hovered around 500 a lot. I could see the same thing could happen with the Patriots.
I could too. I don't know. It builds here for another 5-6 years, and he just keeps it. The draft just kind of keeps. It's just mediocre. They're not really finding a ton of top tier talent. They're missing out. Then I could completely agree, and I see it because again, you got the Bills right now that have look good. Like you're gonna probably be in their second tier as long as Josh Allen's gonna be there at the moment. Again, that the Jets aren't gonna be in the basement forever. Dolphins taking some steps back this year, but yeah, like the division's not gonna be cakewalk like it was the last 18 years. Like it was with Brady here. So I could see it. Unfortunately, I hope that does not happen. But yeah, and again, I like Bill. I've always liked Bill, but yeah, I wish at times he'd give up the GM role, just kind of just focusing more on the coaching. But I just don't see him doing that. But then my last point I want to say on Bill, and I think this is an issue with defense. I was listening to Tom Curran last week. Now he was saying this was the rumor going around. It's not official. It's not total. It's just a rumor right now. But he was saying that Bill's calling plays. His son Steve's calling plays. Matt Patricia may be calling some plays, and Jared Mayo may be calling some plays too. Like it sounds because there's been times where it's like personnel out there, they have no idea what they're doing. So it seems like it seems very possible that there could be 4 guys, and just everything's just confusing because it really seems like it at times. It just miscommunication. So that was a rumor, but I tend to believe that that's very possible because he really likes Matt Patricia, so I could see him having a big impact in the defense. So that's what I've heard. And I think that could really be easily the cause of what's going on. There's just too many voices right now.
Yeah, one guy calls plays. That's it. They got. Even if it has to be Bill, one guy calls plays. That's it. That's the way it has to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I completely agree. It should be. And I just think it just messes everybody up, especially with a lot of new pieces. And yeah, I completely agree. It's got to be one voice, and it maybe sounds like it's not. And I think that makes a lot of sense. So I don't think that rumor's outrageous.
Alrighty, so we're gonna get to our best bets, and this week for me, my first one is I got the Browns I think it's now -3 versus the Broncos. I think even though with all the injuries the Browns have, short week for the Broncos, I think it's going to be a tough game for them. Even though I think the game will be really close, I still think the Browns are going to cover. I got the Eagles +3 over the Raiders. The Raiders had a good week last week. I'm just still not buying them. And I feel like the Eagles are going to learn from what they did on that last drive against Tampa Bay, start to run the ball. I do think Miles Sanders has a big game this week. And I do think they go to Vegas and pull the upset. And my last one is the Colts against the Niners. I think the Colts continue to run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. I think the Niners, they don't know who their starting quarterback's going to be. I feel like it's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo, but we'll see who their starting quarterback's going to be. And I don't love a team who does not sure who their starting quarterback's going to be and doesn't really. And I know Trey Lance is their guy, but they're not sure who their starter's going to be this week. So I got the Colts on Sunday night +4 over the Niners. Justin, your best bets.
My best bets of the week, I have the Titans now up to 5.5 at home against the Chiefs. Again, the Chiefs, I thought, yeah, they won 31-13 last week, but I thought Mahomes and Tyreek Hill kind of bailed them out. Taylor Heineke had a terrible interception in that game. I know the Titans, they're coming off a big win, emotional win on a Monday night. Yeah, short week. But I trust Tennessee's defense to get a stop more than I do the Chiefs. I think Derrick Henry runs all over the Chiefs. I don't think they get to stop. I think he easily has over 100 yards in this game. I like the Raiders at home. I really like the way their offense kind of opened things up, and I thought Derek Carr had a really, really nice game. They spread the ball around. I like the play calling much better when they had Gruden. I think the game play was much better. Eagles coming off a tough loss in Thursday Night Football. I see Jalen Hurts having some success, in this game, and I see him keeping it close. The Raiders haven't been great at home since moving to Vegas, but I see the Raiders find a way to win this game at home. I like the way they're playing. I don't really like the Eagles secondary, and I think Derek Carr can put up some points against the team. And then I'm going to take the Texans at 17.5 against the Cardinals. I know that the Texans stink. And I know this isn't really an NFL thing, but I think this could be, a sandwich game and a look ahead. You just came off a blowout win to the Browns. You have Green Bay coming in on Thursday night. Then I know the Cardinals will be kind of dealing with some COVID issues with the coaching staff. I feel like the Texans, 17.5 is a lot in the NFL. I don't think the Texans are winning this game, but I think the Texans could keep this thing close. The Cardinals did struggle with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know they end up winning by 12, but it took them about 3.5 quarters to get that thing going. So I'll take my shot here with the Houston Texans covering against the Cardinals.
You really do hate Cliff Kingsbury. You are not a Cliff Kingsbury guy. You do not like Cliff Kingsbury. No, I know you're not sold on the Cardinals. They're 6-0. You're not sold on the Cardinals because of that.
No, I know their roster is very good. This team may be too good for him to mess up, but I really can't take Cliff Kingsbury in that game to take the points. I don't trust him enough. He's just offensively genius, defensively clueless.
We'll see what ends up happening with the Cardinals and the Texans this week. But we got to get to the slate of games, and this is one of your best bets. You got the Titans covering, and you got the Titans winning the game. So but I think this is going to be could be the best game of Week 7. I think it's going to be a back and forth game, just like it was when they played in the regular season 2 years ago. I think Derrick Henry's going to have a big week. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have a big week. It's going to be up and down the field, but I'm going with Patrick Mahomes over Ryan Tannehill. I feel like it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I got the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Tennessee Titans 35-31. We'll skip what we already got what Justin has in this game. Justin's got the Titans winning 31-28. And just explain why. Yeah, I know you explained in the best bets, but just explain why you got the Titans winning 31-28.
Yeah, I got Titans win this game. Derrick Henry runs all over them. I know my home totally different, better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill. I just can't trust this Chiefs defense to get a stop. I think they control the ball. I don't know who the Chiefs are going to have to cover Julio Jones or A.J. Brown. I think they just both go off. I know the Titans aren't good defensively either, but I'd rather take the Titans. I've seen, the Titans made a big stop Monday night. I trust the Titans D more right now than I do the Chiefs. I just don't see them getting any stops in this game. I'll take my chance with the Tennessee Titans at home.
We got an NFC matchup in Green Bay as the Washington football team heads to Green Bay to face the Packers. And in this game, I feel like Green Bay. I know Washington's been getting pressure, doing a better job getting pressure on the quarterback, but the back seven for Washington has been terrible all season long. The front four has not been as good as we thought it should have been. And I think that Aaron Jones is a big game. I think Aaron Rodgers throws two or three touchdowns. I think the defense forces a turnover from Taylor Heineke, and I get the Packers beating the Washington football team 31-20, 31-17 on Sunday. But Justin, can Taylor Heineke make enough plays, and can the Washington football team force mistakes from Aaron Rodgers for them to pull the upset?
I don't think so. Heineke had a horrible interception last week. I think it may have to go back to Fitzpatrick whenever he comes back and he's healthy. Really hasn't gotten the job done right now. So I don't think they're going to be able to against the Packers defense, which been all right, been pretty good, but I can't trust Washington. I don't think Washington's. Taylor Heineke's not winning this game. Gets Aaron Rodgers. I had the Packers 28-17. I think Washington is going to get some pressure on them. I think the last few weeks, they have been better at that. But it's the secondary. I think they got the Mahomes last week like 3 times. I think 2 sacks 2 weeks ago. I just don't. They could get the Aaron Rodgers game, but there's just nobody in the secondary though. If he's got more than 3-4 seconds, I don't see. I don't know how the Washington's going to be able to cover Devontae Adams or in this game. I think Packers do win this thing by 2 scores. I could maybe see them get an interception, maybe a fumble, but other than that, I don't think they have much of a chance to win this game. Just bring back.
NFC North matchup is in Baltimore. We've got the 4-2 Bengals facing the 5-1 Ravens, and I think this is going to be a close, competitive game. I think that Joe Burrow is going to play well. I think Lamar Jackson is going to play well. I think the Bengals will contain the Ravens' running game, but I think the difference is going to be I think Lamar Jackson is going to make plays against that Bengals secondary, and I think that the Ravens defense is going to force a turnover from Joe Burrow, and I think that ultimately is the difference. And I got the Ravens beating the Bengals 28-20. But Justin, can Joe Burrow keep up with Lamar Jackson and put the Bengals in first place in the AFC North?
I think they have a chance. Not very likely. I had the Ravens win this game 27-21. I just think Burrow is going to have to run for his life most of this game. I think the Ravens have really kind of figured things out pretty much since like the second half of the Monday night game. They held a really good Chargers team to 6 points last week. I know it was an East Coast trip for the Chargers, but they played really well. I think he's going to make some plays. They have a lot of good receivers. Obviously, the Ravens, really banged up in the back end this year. But I just don't think he's going to be able to keep up with Lamar Jackson in this game. It's going to be too much, and I have the Baltimore Ravens win this game 27-21 at home.
We got the Falcons heading to Miami to face the Dolphins. And here's one thing I don't understand. Why don't the Dolphins have a bye week? Why don't they have a bye week? I don't understand that. You just played in London. Why don't you have a bye week? This happened one other time to the Jaguars 4 years ago, and then they ended up losing to the Jets. Why don't you have a bye week after you're playing in London? I don't get that at all. And that's probably the biggest reason why I'm picking the Falcons to win this game. And I think Matt Ryan has a big day. I think he has a big day. I think Kyle Pitts has a really good game. I think Calvin Ridley has a pretty good game. And I got the Falcons winning this game 27-24. I think Tua will play okay. I think he'll play pretty well. But I just think this is a major scheduling issue by the NFL why the Dolphins have to play a game. The Dolphins play a game in London, then they got to play again the next week. I think that makes no sense to me. But I got the Falcons winning 27-24. But Justin, can Tua bounce back and give the Dolphins their second win?
Yeah, I got the Falcons 24-21. I'm with you. I don't know why they do not have a bye week. This doesn't really make any sense. I don't get it. I don't know why, because every other team got it. 3 others seems like most years they do. So it's weird. I don't get it. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't think the Falcons really should be getting points on the road against anybody. But again, in this spot, the Dolphins lose a tough one over in London against Jacksonville last week. I see Atlanta, Matt Ryan be able to put some points. But, I just think coming up the loss, I think, Tua played well. I think he'll have some yards against, not a very good Atlanta defense here, but just not nearly enough against Matt Ryan. I just think the Falcons have a little bit too much offensively for Tua to keep up with in this game. And I'll take the Falcons on the road 24-21.
Got a big matchup down in Tampa as the Bears travel down to Tampa to face Tom Brady and the Bucs. And we don't forget, the Bears did beat the Bucs last year in Chicago in that Thursday night game. But I think it's going to be a different story this year. I think Tom Brady's going to have a big game, throw 2 or 3 touchdown passes. Robert Quinn is not going to be playing for the Bears. I feel like the Bucs are going to – they've been getting pressure the last couple of weeks. I think they're going to get pressure on Justin Fields, force a turnover. And I got the Buccaneers winning this game big. I got the Bucs going to 6-1, beating the Bears 31-13. But Justin, can the Bears D contain the Bucs offense for them to get their second straight win against them?
It's going to be very tough. I don't think it's going to happen. I got the Bucs winning this game 31-17. I think they would have to keep the Buccaneers under like 20 points. I just don't see that happening. Tom Brady's not going to let that happen with all the weapons they have. I think the Bears could get some pressure on them. Tampa's line's pretty good. Offensive line's pretty good, but I just don't see it being able to do enough. I think the Bears D already has over 20 sacks on the year. But I just don't see them in the secondary having too much success against Tom Brady in this one. It's a revenge game for Brady. He usually plays pretty well in those games too. So I see the Buccaneers winning this game by 2 scores.
We got the Texans traveling to Arizona to play the Cardinals, and I think this is the blowout of the weekend. I think the Cardinals could arguably be the best team in football, and I think the Texans are clearly the worst team in football. I don't care if the Lions don't ever win. The Lions are better than the Texans. The Texans are the worst team in football. That's why I got the Cardinals winning 38-10. Justin, you probably agree with me that you got the Cardinals winning. But we all know that you have the Texans covering now.
Yeah, but I got 30-17. I think Texans keep it close. I think Mills makes some plays in this game. I know it's a revenge game for Watt and Hopkins, but I just see this game. Arizona kind of looks ahead a bit. I see them getting ready for Green Bay, and Houston, plays hard and keeps this game interesting. I know they got blown out by Indianapolis, but I think they keep this thing close. I'll take my chances with the Texans covering.
Going from one revenge game to another revenge game, we got Matthew Stafford hosting his former team in the Detroit Lions, and obviously we got Jared Goff facing his former team in the Los Angeles Rams. And I do think in the first – you saw Goff was called out by Dan Campbell last week after the game. So I do think Goff comes out with a little bit of fire this week. I think they moved the ball a little bit early in the game. But eventually I feel like the Rams running game with Sony Michel and Dontrell Henderson and the Rams passing game with Matthew Stafford, Robert Woods, and Cooper Kupp, they take over. That's why I got the Rams winning 31-16 in LA on Sunday. But Justin, can Jared Goff get revenge against his former team?
I don't think that's happening. I got the Rams 31-20. Yeah, Dan Campbell, I've never really seen a head coach kind of call out a play like that out in front of the media. So it'll be interesting how Goff responds to that. Yeah, I think the Lions play hard in this game. I think, they keep it closer at half. I just think this Rams defense is just going to be way too much. I know the Lions kind of banged up on the offensive line right now, so I just don't see them. I see that pass rush with Aaron Donald, which is having a couple sacks in this game. I think it could be a long day for the Lions trying to get something going. I think Stafford has a big day, but yeah, I think Goff, plays all right. I think he plays as well as he can against a really good Rams defense against and he doesn't really have a ton around him, but I'm gonna take the Rams win 31-20.
We got our best bet. We got our 2 best bets this week. Is we got the Eagles traveling to Vegas to play the Raiders. We said in our best bet, one of my best bets was the Eagles. One of your best bets was the Raiders. I got the Eagles winning the game by 3 points. I got the 4 points. I got the Eagles winning at 27-23 because of the running game of Miles Sanders. I think Miles Sanders has done a really, really good job running the football. They did a really good job running the football last week at the end of the game, and I think they continue to do that. I think they try to find an identity in offense the Eagles don't have. I think Jalen Hurts has a good game. And for the Raiders, I do think Derek Carr is a good game, and I do think he has that one bad turnover in this game. That's why I got the Eagles pulling the upset. But, Justin, you have the Raiders as one of your best bets, and why do you have them as one of your best bets?
Yeah, I got the Raiders win this game 27-20. I think, the Raiders get a couple of sacks as well against Jalen Hurts. As I mentioned, I really like their offense. I think they could get it going with Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake in the backfield. It's a good receiving back. I see a couple big plays against the secondary, and I think the Eagles keep this thing close. I think, Jalen Hurts does put up some points in this game, but I just don't think it's enough. And I think I really like the way the Raiders looked offensively. I think that continues against the Eagles this Sunday.
We got the Sunday night game in Santa Clara as the Colts travel to Santa Clara to face the 49ers. And I think this is a close competitive game. And I'm going to go with an upset here. I feel like the Colts are going to force Garoppolo to turn the ball over once or twice, and they're going to capitalize on that. I feel like the Niners will get pressure on Wentz, but I think Jonathan Taylor is a big game. I think he has another really good game against this defense. And I'm going with an upset here. And this is one of my best bets. I got the Colts beating the Niners 23-20. But, Justin, can the Niners force enough turnovers from Wentz to snap their 3-game losing streak?
I think they can. And Wentz has been really good, especially the last 2 weeks. Played well that Monday night game against Baltimore, played really well against, a bad Houston team, but I liked what I saw out of him last week. He's only got 1 interception in the year, 1 fumble. He's done a good job of protecting the football. And the Niners only have 2 takeaways. I know last year they only had 3 or 4 interceptions all year. They weren't great at that last year. I feel like this week they do force Carson Wentz to make an interception. I think it's a big one. I think it could be, a big one late in the game. I think he makes a mistake, and I think the Niners try to take advantage of it. The Niners coming off a bye as well, so I think they're kind of well prepared in this game. I think they do enough at home here on the Sunday night to get the win 24-21.
We got the Monday night game in Seattle as the Saints travel to Seattle to face the Seahawks, and this is going to be a pretty interesting game between these 2 teams. I think that the Saints will have success running the football against Seattle's defense with Alvin Kamara. I do think there's a turnover on each side. I think Geno Smith turns the ball over once, and I do think that Jameis Winston turns the ball over once. But at the end of the day, I feel like Jameis Winston is going to be the guy who makes less mistakes than Geno Smith, and that's why I got the Saints to go into 4-2, beating the Seahawks 24-17. But Justin, can Geno Smith outplay Jalen Smith for the Seahawks to get their 3rd win of the season?
I think the Seahawks keep this thing close. It's a tough place to go to. I think they play. I think they keep close. Play hard at home. But I have the Saints win this game 23-20. I think Geno Smith could have some, again, I think he does make that turnover too that could hurt him. But I think their offense, or I think Seattle's offense, does struggle. It's a good Saints defense. They're coming off a bye as well. The Saints coming off a bye. So I think Geno could have a rough one really trying to get things going. He's got to protect the football. I don't know if he will. I think he'll make turnover too, but I think could maybe see some he can run the ball, but I don't. It didn't really seem like they did that a lot with him. I think Jameis Winston makes enough plays though. Yeah, I'm with you. I think Alvin Kamara in the backfield has a big game. Seattle hasn't been great stopping the run, but I feel like Seattle's a team that's again, Russell Wilson's a huge loss, but I think talent wise, I think that they play hard at home on a Monday night. I think they keep it close, but I just don't think they have enough to win and knock off the Saints right now.
That should be an interesting game. It should be an interesting Week 7. But we got to move on to the NBA, and Ben Simmons is continuing to be a headache in Philadelphia. But before we talk about that, we got a promo from Clovercrest Media.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.
Do you have 401k and some savings for future retirement, but you don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? And how often do you think about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies, doing the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident with your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website or give us a call at 860-430-5397.
The college football season is coming back, and we got you covered on every game. We're breaking it down on each snap all season long. Catch us every week starting on August 4th. Joe Aguirre, Sean Scanlon, Jace Garcia, and yours truly, Obi Muniz, giving you the highlights, predictions, and current rankings. Visit our website at hhwshow.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's All Four Downs, part of the CMG Sports Podcast Network.
It's been a pretty wet summer in Connecticut, and that means more mosquitoes than ever. If you didn't have your home serviced for mosquito control and find you're spending most of your time outside swatting those little pests, you are in luck. Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut provides the best value in mosquito control services because of how they treat your yard using the Mosquito Shield tailored treatment system. They don't use a fixed schedule or an identical product, one-size-fits-all service program because you can't control mosquitoes on a set number of sprays or visits. Unlike the competition, Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut will service you for the season, whatever it takes to provide superior results. This promise has awarded them an industry-leading consumer retention rating of 90%. Visit MosquitoShieldCT.com to schedule an appointment with Wade DeCesare and enjoy the rest of your summer mosquito-free.
The Giants are running New York like the Times as Danny is dropping all sorts of dimes. Saquon's thighs are ruining defenses' lives and Leonard Williams making opposing QBs feel him. Receivers think it's scary to line up across James Bradbury, and the Giants have a bright future led by Coach Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Tune in to Drawing About the G-Men every Wednesday at 6, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Drawing About the G-Men, the Giants football podcast. I'm Big J, joined like always by Joe Aguirre, King Zay, and Sean Scanlon, and special guest from Sports Talk with R&J that was on earlier today, Steve Risser. What's going on, guys?
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm really happy to be on.
Yeah, I mean, we're happy to have you, but, I mean, not too happy about the Giants. Big loss, 38-11. It was rough. It was bad. But, I mean, let's take a second to be realists here. Everyone had high expectations for the Giants, and they haven't necessarily hit those, but they kind of have. We all thought that they would compete in the NFC East, and they are competing in the NFC least. But the thing is that there's an NFC beast taking over the NFC East in the Dallas Cowboys. And these last two games have been blowouts, but they've been blowouts to Super Bowl contenders. The games against the middle-of-the-pack teams, the Giants are still in. And with all these injuries getting blown out by two Super Bowl contenders, it's frustrating, but you can't be too upset. And then also, I mean, everyone's pointing the finger, blaming everyone here and there. But for Joe Judge, like, I feel like he needs more time. Like, this is rebuilding. And it is still rebuilding. We weren't expected to go out there and be dominant this quick, and we haven't been. The Giants haven't been. But I think if you're going to take someone away from this, it has to be Jason Garrett. Because look at what happened with Dallas since Jason Garrett. Look at what happened. They bring in Mike McCarthy. They had this great beginning, and then Dak gets injured. They were looking like they were about to run away with the NFC East last year until Dak got injured. Now they're actually running away with it. And it was because Jason Garrett is a cancer. Jason Garrett doesn't know how to call plays. So that's the same issue I think the Giants have here. But, I mean, let's get back to the game. Joe, what did you think of the loss?
Look, it's clear that the Giants are closer to the bottom of the league than they are to the top of the league. And the only excuse I'll make for this team is there's no health on this team. They've got too many key guys out in too many places. The offensive line was playing well. Now you got Andrew Thomas on IR. Had so many injuries on that line that was already such a big uncertainty, and they were still playing well. But as it is right now, and against any team that's not in the bottom five, I don't see how the Giants are going to be able to muster enough to win. Now, and Zay and I were talking about this before the show, look, the Giants are always capable of doing some cool stuff late, but when are they going to be healthy enough to do that? Because I love Daniel Jones. I don't think there's a problem with Daniel Jones, and boo-hoo with the turnovers. That's what being a quarterback is in this league. And when you're on the run and running for your life, that's what happens. And when Devontae Booker is standing behind you and Kadarius Toney in the locker room and Kenny Golladay isn't playing, this is what happens. So, it is what it is. That first drive, 14 plays, 73 yards, 8 up 539. I took Matthew Stafford as my fantasy lock. I took the Rams in my suicide league. And I thought to myself, listen, if the Giants pull this off, great. It'll be such a great win for me. But the reality is Stafford was going to light them up and they were going to lose. And that's exactly what happened. But I think right now there's talent on this Giants team, but there's so much that has to be fixed on this team right now.
Yeah, and I think the biggest fix right now has to be the play clock. Because, I mean, look at the drives. When they were moving the ball, it was distributing the ball evenly amongst everyone. Then the drives where we couldn't get anything going, Daniel Jones, Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney. You can't be forcing that stuff. But, I mean, injuries have continue to be a big problem. And, Steve, I've listened to you on your show because I produce it. The injuries to you, that's on Dave Gettleman?
In a way, yes, because if it continues to happen multiple times, I feel like that's on the general manager. Like Kenny Golladay missed 10 games in Detroit last year. He gives him $18 million. Saquon Barkley continues to get hurt. My philosophy is if injuries continue to happen to the same players, that ends up being on the general manager. Now, I wanted Dave Gettleman gone last year. He had that winning streak. I kind of changed my mind at the end of the season, but I'm not changing my mind now. Right now, he is absolutely first to go for this team. It has to happen.
Wow.
You saw Judge being first to go?
I do see, like I said, I've told you before, I think if anyone takes the fall, it's going to be Judge. And I told you waiting in the helms will be Jason Garrett to be the coach because the Giants will use the excuse of money. And that'll be a cheap way to just get a head coach, a guy who's already has experience in head coach. He's already in the building. So why not just use that guy? It only obviously makes sense. But as far as Gettleman, I think Gettleman has brought plenty of talent to the team. As far as health, there's not much he can do about these guys staying healthy. That goes to them and their actual physical fitness and how they're, treating their bodies on and off the field. I can't really hold that to Gettleman. That's not his fault. And to blame Jason Garrett for the offensive lack of offense is really not his fault. He's working with what he's got. He's got an offensive line that's inconsistent. He's got receivers that can't stay healthy. He's got a star running back that can't stay on the field. So at what point, what do you want him to do? You tell him not to force the ball to these receivers, but the Giants don't have many other options. It's not like the backup guys are out here, running down these amazing routes and catching, 10 passes a game for 100 yards. It's just not happening. None of these guys that we talked about in the training camp who we thought would possibly step up, there were injuries, would step up. None of them have at this point. So
what were the two major issues after last season as we all understood it?
Offensive line and
a pass rusher. And they went out and spent a ton of money on a cornerback and a wide receiver.
And I agree with you.
That's on Gettleman.
You want to put him on Gettleman, I agree, but he's trying to do a lot. He's trying to help out his guys. He's brought in guys he thought should be able to rush. Lorenzo Carter should be a good pass rusher. There's no reason for that. And we've seen Azeez Elijah, he'll eventually be something. We can see that there's potential there. O'Shane Jimenez, he might be a bust, but again, you're bringing in guys and you're hoping for the best. Yeah, we could pay for guys on the street, but it doesn't mean they won't get injured neither. We could go and pay for these guys, these Yannick Ngakwe's, and it doesn't matter if he has a hamstring issue because the Giants training staff can't keep these guys healthy. It really wouldn't matter at that point who we sign. So I think it's a little deeper than just trying to put it on these guys and, in front. It's easy to put it on the coaches, the GMs. They're the face. Those are the head guys. Those are the mouthpieces. It's easy to put it on them, but it comes down to a lot more than that. Sometimes it comes down to actual performance on the field, and the performance isn't there. The health isn't there. The trainers aren't doing something proper. There's something going on wrong. There shouldn't be this many injuries across the board. And as far as, like I said, the defense was a great defense last year. Pass rush or not, there was a top 10 defense in the league last year. For them to have this much drop-off and you added guys, that doesn't make sense to me. So, again, I don't know how you blame Gettleman, who gets you a top 10 defense. He brings you offensive weapons. The offensive line was playing good. What more do you want from him?
Yeah,
wins.
Yeah, but look at the team. Yeah, look at the team's record since he's taken over. They're 6.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Eventually, you're going to have to put that on the general manager. That's what
performance
that's
comes
what has
down
to
to
happen.
it too. It comes down to it too. Honestly, we could put Tom Brady back there at quarterback, and I don't think he'd win that many games just because the performance isn't there all around. Offensive line matters when people talk about.
That's you said the performance isn't there, and that's on the general manager. He's been here for 3 years, and he's had a chance to put around talent, and we have no wins to show for it. Like absolutely nothing.
What do you want him to do? You ask for Saquon Barkley. You say this guy's a freak talent, one of a kind. You have to get him. He goes and gets you Saquon Barkley.
That's on the general manager taking a running back 2nd overall. As much as I love Saquon, that pick is going to come back to haunt us. That's on the general manager. That's
again, he can't. It's hindsight. He can't see these injuries coming.
And you say he brings talent in, but I agree with Steve. I mean, there's no wins to show for it over the last 3 seasons that he's been here, and it's getting to a point where the Giants are embarrassing. We are the laughing stock of the league right now, you have to put the blame on somebody. Joe Judge has been absolutely. He's been awful this year. I was a defender of Joe Judge last season. I thought that he did a good job of rallying them at the end of the season. But this year, with his in-game management, this week, leaving in Daniel Jones in a 38-3 game where he's coming off a game where he just had to get carted off because of concussion. His O-line is out. He has no receivers to throw to, and you're leaving him in the game. Stuff like that. Dave Gettleman, he's just not been great. He's brought in some terrible free agents. His drafts have been okay, but like Zay said, some of these guys have been busts. And just as overall, and like you said, with the defense, they were a top 10 defense last year. They're bringing more talent, and they get worse. It's because guys are underperforming. James Bradbury has played terrible. Dexter Lawrence has been a no-show. Adoree Jackson hasn't done his part, and
he's getting paid too.
It's frustrating.
Adoree Jackson's getting paid a lot to keep dropping interceptions in the end zone. But we're not gonna keep talking.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Dave Gettleman, he brings in these names that are big names in the league, but right when they come to New York, they haven't done anything. And it showed up last year. Bradbury was great last year. So was Leonard Williams. Obviously Blake Martinez too, but this year it's fallen off a cliff. And at some point you have to put it on the general manager.
I've been telling you for years, Saquon's a bust. I said it for years. Y'all told me I was wrong because he looked good in spurts. This is the situation of if the players performed, we wouldn't be mad at Gettleman. And that's why I said it comes down to performance. Because there was a time you loved Saquon, and I kept telling y'all he's a bust, he's a bust, he's a bust. Y'all told me I was crazy.
I still love Saquon.
Yeah, he's still, when he's on the field, he still is going to do the best. I understand it. It's rough. But, it has been the worst franchise since 2017 But also look at that. I mean, 3 coaches since then. I mean, there's got to be a point where you got to commit, I think. I think just keep cutting off your nose to spite your face. Just keep rebuilding and rebuilding. You're never going to eventually build up. But, I mean, I don't know. There's just so many fingers to point, and I guess that's just New York sports in general. There's so many fingers to point to see who's wrong here, who's wrong there. But Joe, at some point, it's just you just got to look at the franchise itself, right?
So I have some bad news for all of you and for all Giants fans watching. And it's we have a blind love for this team. And I don't think we realize how much we have in common with the Bears and the Lions and some of the maybe the Browns. The Giants have had 19 winning seasons since 1964. That's 57 years. 19 winning season, and by 19 I mean at least a 7-5 in the 12 game seasons, 9-7 in the 16 game era. 85 to 90, 2006 to 2013. Those are the only real runs of success the Giants have had since the 1950s. I mean, this franchise has been remarkably inept for a really long time. The 2000 Super Bowl, they were 6-10 both seasons before and the season immediately following.
There were one
If
year
you go
one of those
if
years
you
they
go-
made the playoffs, though. That one year with San Francisco, yeah.
If you go through the Giants' all-time records, you'll be stunned at how many 6-10 finishes there are. That's generally what the New York Giants have been since 1964. The only franchise, to me, that's been doing it year after year and doing it right happens to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, which oddly enough, the two families that own these two teams have a long connection. We definitely didn't get the football brains of that family. Okay. We didn't get it.
Not at all.
We got, we're the more highly regarded, the Giants, they don't sign guys that beat their wives. And I respect that. And I like that in my franchise. We don't want drunk drivers and wife beaters and rapists and all that. That's great. Meanwhile, the rest of the league is signing the Kareem Hunts of the world with reckless abandon. And the Giants continue to draft poorly. This has been going on for at least since the 2000s. This team does not draft well. Outside of Eli Manning,
Ernie Accorsi left.
Right. Listen, outside of Eli Manning, who didn't even draft, there really wasn't much to show for any of the draft.
I mean, we drafted JPP and players like that. I mean,
listen, we used to draft. So, I mean, the Giants were built on having a great defensive line. You'll all recall when they didn't need a guy like Jason Pierre-Paul, they still went and drafted that guy. Best available player. The stupidest philosophy on earth. Address needs. You're running a 1970s offense in 2021 when all of the rules of this game dictate you need to be throwing the football. I mean, listen, I understand it's hard to throw the football at Giant Stadium, especially as you get into this time of the year. But you need a better offensive system. Like, getting rid of Dave Gettleman, not necessarily because he hasn't performed, but the Giants need somebody who wasn't born when the Giants were good. Somebody who's completely disillusioned at how good this franchise is, because it's not. It's mostly been really bad for a really, really long time.
What they can't do is, if they do fire Gettleman, is promote from within. But knowing this franchise, that's what I think they're going to do, because they've done that all the time. Ernie Accorsi, they promoted from within. Jerry Reese, they promoted from within. Dave Gettleman, he was in Carolina, but he's been with the organization. So I really feel like I'm not going to be surprised if this team promotes from within if they get rid of Dave Gettleman. It wouldn't shock me. And that's
probably
you have a great point, Joe. The main reason is ownership is the biggest reason why this team is what they are.
Steve, you can almost argue Joe Judge is a hiring from within.
Because he came from right.
May as
it
well
was Bill
be.
Belichick. Yeah,
that's what he said. Just a disciple of that guy.
Yeah,
the Giants don't want to break free and try something new. It's been 57 years with very little success.
It has, but again, you're in a division where you have a team like the Cowboys who's done taking basically anybody, criminal, serial killer, whatever you are, they'll put you on their roster. And you've seen for the last 30 years, it still hasn't come out to a title. It hasn't come out to much more than one playoff win or two playoff wins, excuse me. So it doesn't mean it goes well if you change your formula. That doesn't mean it's going to change everything. I think, like you said, it just comes down to the franchise just being smarter in general. You talk about, like you said, you can't throw this time of year. You just rebuilt the stadium. You should have built a stadium that was, that would, complement your climate, your situation, your spiraling winds or whatever it is. And they didn't. They just built another money grab. That's literally what it is. If you've ever been to the stadium before, it's nothing special. There's nothing to go there. You go to stadiums all around the world and there's something cool in their stadiums. The Giant Stadium is just a stadium. So it almost seems like it was a gigantic waste of money. So again, it goes back to the up top brains. They're just not as smart as they used to be anymore. I don't know what it is. They're just not there. And it's still, to me, it stems back to Odell Beckham situation. You give him money, you trade him away, and the team has been garbage ever since. If I'm being real, the last winning season we had, Odell Beckham Jr. was there. That's why he received that money. It was, they went 11-5 that year, lost the playoff game, and whatever. That was really it. And then once they traded them, they haven't had a home run hitter. You might have something in Kadarius Toney, but again, we don't know. And that's why I bring the point up of maybe trading Sterling Shepard. But obviously, that's here or there. Obviously, that's for later shows. But again, the Giants need to become smarter up top, like you said, as a franchise. That's really what the issue is. It's up top.
The thing, like I mentioned, regardless, anything that you do is going to be a step back and some sort of rebuild and put us maybe even another 4 years in the hole. So, it's just tough. I mean, it's bad. It's just a terrible situation. I hate being a Giants fan, but I love being a Giants fan. It's just so hard. But, and Zay, you mentioned trades. We'll talk about that next week as the trade deadline is closely approaching, what the Giants can do there. But now let's look ahead to the Week 7 matchup. The 3-3 Carolina Panthers come to town. Sean, starting with you, how do you see this playing out?
It's going to be hard to get a win with all these players hurt on offense. Even though the Panthers have been struggling, their defense is still pretty good. They have some good pass rushers, and Hassan Reddick and Brian Burns, and Stephon Gilmore is coming back to practice this week. So I mean, with Andrew Thomas put it on IR, we don't have any receivers except for Sterling Shepard. Obviously Saquon's out. So I think we'll be able to keep it a close game because Sam Darnold has kind of come back to earth a little bit. He's been throwing a lot of interceptions lately, and this offense has kind of tailed off in the last couple of weeks, especially with Christian McCaffrey out. So hopefully this Giants defense could get some stops on third downs, get off the field, and give the ball back to this offense. But I just don't see us scoring enough points to stay in this game. So I think it will be close for the majority of the game. I could see the Panthers probably winning by a touchdown late. So it really falls on the defense this week. If we want to have any success down the stretch, I mean, it's going to be on the defense that, like Zay was saying earlier, was a top 10 defense last year. They bring in more talent. There's no reason why they shouldn't be top half of the league defense right now, and they're right at the bottom. I'm pretty sure they're 27th in scoring. They give up one of the most yards per games in the league. So it's been frustrating this year to see this defense. So they need to step up this week if they want to get a win and maybe try and get some momentum going. But I just don't see it happening with how banged up this offense is right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Steve? Yeah, I know you're a Sam Darnold guy. He's coming back to MetLife.
I mean, I don't think he plays great, but I think he gets the win. The Giants they're just too banged up. Way too many injuries on offense. I mean, the Panthers are good getting to the quarterback with Brian Burns and Hassan Reddick. So I think they're getting pressure on Daniel Jones and force a turnover from Daniel Jones. I do think the Giants will force a turnover from Sam Darnold. Darnold always throws that one terrible interception every game, and I think he's going to do it in this game. But at the end of the day, I feel like the Panthers are going to end up winning this game by a touchdown. I got, as I said on the show, I got the Panthers 27-20.
Joe?
Funny.
You love the Panthers.
Yeah, listen, you said Sam Darnold was coming back to MetLife, and he's actually coming back to real life. And he's playing a little bit more like Sam Darnold, but to be fair, thank you. To be fair, when you don't have Christian McCaffrey on the field, you just aren't as good a quarterback as you are when he is on the field. And so let's consider that Chuba Hubbard just isn't quite the same thing, is he?
Chuba?
Look, that said, I think with Kadarius Toney and Barkley and Galladay all out, with that line still banged up, with Andrew Thomas out for at least 3 games on IR, I don't see the Giants scoring enough points to win this football game. I just don't. Daniel Jones maybe breaks off a 80-yard run or something. I think it's going to be really hard for this team to sustain drives. I think the Panthers' defense is just too good for this Giants offense. Again, the way it's currently constructed due to all the injuries. So I think this might be a really good win for Carolina. I think they'll probably do them by at least 2 touchdowns, Steve. I hate to say that.
Damn, that's 2 touchdowns. You've been high on Carolina all year, so
it's a good team.
Right. Yeah. Zay, you said Saquon's a bust. I saw a little post earlier today that said Christian McCaffrey is the next Todd Gurley. Is Christian McCaffrey a bust?
Christian McCaffrey, again, is another one in the Saquon Barkley category for me, where it comes up as you're a bust, and it's not because of your health, not because of what you can do on the field. Obviously, those are 2 out-of-the-world talents. It comes down to the fact that they can't be there for their team, and that's the most important part. Obviously, I don't care what you could do, off the field, while you're on the field. If you're not there, you can't help us. This isn't Madden. Guys aren't coming back every, you can't reset the game and bring guys back. So if they're not there, they're not helping out your team. So I think for that point, yes, to me, Christian McCaffrey is a bust. I don't think he can stay healthy. I just don't think he can. I think he's one of these guys that if he could, he'd probably be an MVP candidate every year, but he just can't stay healthy. And but to that, I do think the Giants will actually win this game. I picked the Giants to win this game a couple of weeks ago. I said this should be one of the games they can win because I said Sam Darnold will fall off a cliff as he has, and we've seen it. He will be back to Sam Darnold that we know. And I do think the Giants can pull this off. I think they can pull it off. I think it'll be an ugly game. I think the defense, like Sean says, is going to have to step it up. It's going to be probably a field goal type of game at the end. Graham Gano hopefully knocks down a field goal. Doesn't run into one of his field goal situations where he starts missing. But I do think the Giants can pull this off. And then if they don't pull this off, I don't know what other games they can win on the schedule. I can't even pencil in Washington like previous years where you could just pencil in Washington before the season. We can't even do that anymore. So if the Giants, to me, can't pull this game off, I don't know what games are left for them to do it. It's like I said, a team that's just as beat up as you, falling off a cliff, probably not going in the right direction, and this is your opportunity. If the Giants can't pull it off, then the Giants season is completely lost to me.
No, yeah, you're right.
I hope that happens.
Yeah.
I'd like that very much, Zach.
I mean, I always pick the Giants. I do think this is like the most winnable game left on their schedule. And like I said earlier, like it's really easy to get super down on the Giants, especially after the past 2 weeks. But the past 2 weeks have been against Super Bowl contenders, legitimate Super Bowl contenders, and you get smashed.
All right.
Yeah, but they weren't competitive at all.
Let me stop you for a minute because look, here's what you said before. So let me clear it up for you.
Okay.
when it comes to the bottom feeders of the NFL, right? Teams like the Falcons and Washington, let's just say the Giants lost close ones to that. Let's talk about the better teams in the league, like the Broncos, the Cowboys, the Rams. The Giants got blown out completely by those teams. So, as I said, they're closer to the bottom of the league, but they've lost to some of the bad teams already. They couldn't muster out a win there. So how are they going to beat a team like Carolina that's more middle of the pack when they can't beat the Falcons and they get blown out by all the good teams? Although the Saints thing, whatevs.
The Saints are middle of the pack.
Yeah, I'm not counting the Saints game. Let's throw that out the window. That was a magical afternoon where everything was right. Saquon was on the field for a whole game with Daniel Jones. It was like the most I forgot what that was like. I forgot they were on the same team. I forget sometimes.
It was a good
I'm
day.
like, oh, what years did those guys play? It's too bad their careers never crossed over. That's how it seems. You finally got him a game with all the weapons. He used them. The offensive line played great. The defense did the bend but don't break thing. They got the win. It was the only week where things went well. It was the only week where they stopped the other team on third down. But even at that, as I pointed out, they still struggled on both ends in that game. They got lucky and they pulled that one out.
Yeah, but I think
I don't want to say lucky. No. That's not fair. They completed the job that day, and it's still something that they can't do. But look, to see this team get blown out the last 2 weeks,
it's disheartening.
Wait, granted, the Cowboys they melted that game. They were in that game for the first half. If the Giants stayed healthy, the outcome could have been different. The game was looking really different.
But the Giants are great at that, though, having a competitive first half and then getting blown out in the second.
We've seen this team in years past where they start the season 1-3, 1-4, and they start getting blown out a whole bunch. And you start to question whether everybody's bought into the system or if everybody's heart's still in it. And I feel like here we are in week 7, and I already feel like I have to wonder that. I mean, James Bradbury didn't lose a step in the offseason. That doesn't seem right to me. Why is he getting burned left, right, and sideways?
Yeah,
it's bad.
Where darn ain't Holmes at?
Yeah, and as you said before, Zay, if Jackson drops one more interception, I swear to God, somebody got to hurt that man. What is wrong with him?
Again,
that's a goddamn ball.
Interception that wins us the game. So then I'm telling you, it's a thing of performance. He catches the interception, the game's over. The Giants have another win and they win column. And maybe the season isn't a complete loss. Maybe we're looking at this game like, all right, how can the Giants pull this off to try to bring themselves back in? But you have these situations where you have these bad luck, jumping off sides that was onside, stuff like this. It comes down to performance. It's like you say,
but listen, hold on. Let's say the Giants went into the game against the Cowboys 3-1.
Okay.
Let's say those things had turned out the other way. They were 3-1. Now they're 3-3, coming off blowout losses to two contenders. That's a message to you that you don't belong with the big dogs.
If they're 3-1, they're probably healthy. We don't know if they get blown out against the Dallas Cowboys. We don't know if they get blown out against the Rams. Like, he really had nothing against the Rams. You had Kadarius Toney for the first drive, and that was it. You literally had nothing. And I told you, you're paying Sterling Shepard for nothing. He's still on the boat trip. I haven't seen Sterling Shepard. Y'all can keep telling. I haven't seen him. He's still on that boat trip that him and Odell and them took.
I don't know why you hate on Sterling Shepard so much.
Again,
he had 10 catches on a.
For a guy who's getting paid. I know he's playing for a guy who's getting paid at top 15 receiver. He's getting paid up there.
No, he's not.
He's like top 20 somewhere up there. He's getting money, bro. He's up. I looked it up the other day. He's getting money. He's one of. He's not one of these.
He's not getting paid as a top 15 receiver. He's getting paid like $9 million a year.
No, I think it was like closer to 9 or something like that. And the top receivers are only, again, you have one receiver who's making 25. You have one that's making like 15. And the others are making somewhere around 10. I looked this up the other day because I was looking to see how much he's making to have such little performance. I'm not seeing touchdowns from him. I want touchdowns. We got rid of Odell Beckham. We gave you money expecting touchdowns. Not catches.
He wasn't really the replacement.
He's hurt all the time. How many concussions has he had throughout the last few years?
It was last season. That was it.
He has
Concussion.
the hamstring. I'm just not a Sterling Shepard fan. I'm sorry.
But Shepard was never like he's that possession guy. He's never going to
you
be
can't
that
compare him to
touchdown
Odell.
guy.
They're two completely different receivers.
Yes, but when you get rid of Odell in the hopes that this man steps up, that's what Gettleman was hoping. That was the idea.
So let me clear up a couple things because facts are important. He is the 26th best paid receiver out
26?
of 317. Not quite as high as they suggested, but that's
20. I'm sorry.
But look, hold on. There's 30 teams.
Yeah.
If every team has a WR1, then they're saying he's in the top half of the WR1s. That
and
doesn't
we pay
jive.
Kenny Galladay
That you were right,
too.
but that doesn't jive with the production we've ever gotten out of that guy. His yearly is 10.25. Which is definitely yes, it is, especially when you're not even the number one receiver. And now with Kadarius Toney,
he's
again. Listen, right, in a situation where Kadarius Toney and Kenny Galladay are healthy, and Darius Slayton's your deep guy, you're talking about Sterling Shepard. Throw in a healthy Kyle Rudolph and Ingram. What is Sterling Shepard? He's a really overpaid slot guy. That is definitely facts. I like Sterling Shepard. I like Sterling Shepard. He got a great week, but here we go. Tony Agresti says Shepard's not a game changer.
He's not.
Again, dude, he could have 10 catches, and it's like, oh, Sterling Shepard.
I agree with that, but
he's
been a great safety blanket for Daniel Jones.
Yeah,
especially on third. He's a huge third down
Tony could do everything he could do and more. Kadarius Toney can do everything he can do and more. Kadarius Toney, he gets the ball and he makes more things happen.
Kadarius Toney isn't the great route runner that he's he's great after the catch. He's one of the most electric after the catch guys in the league right now, even after a couple of weeks. But Sterling Shepard, his ability to get open in those third down situations, he's a great route runner, especially out of the slot position. So, there's been a bunch of Daniel Jones plays where
he's
probably
a Wes Welker and he's getting paid like he's Randy Moss.
I agree that he's probably a little bit overpaid, but you guys are acting like he's an absolute bum though.
No, listen. Hold on. What did I just say? I just said, look, this guy could average 10 catches a night, and it seems like he didn't do anything.
He's not like the game breaker that I agree.
He's a great safety blanket. I'll take him. He's a good slot guy. He gets the job done. He's got good hands. Just has never been a difference maker. He's not a Mario Manningham type. That was a good third option guy.
Steve Smith, great.
That's another good one. Yeah, there's been some guys that I like Sterling Shepard. Don't get me wrong. I hate the new number, but it's too weird. I hate when people do that. I hate the whole idea of it, but that's for another time and day. Yeah,
I'm just saying
he is overpaid. That's a fact for a guy who doesn't really make a difference in any game he's in, and isn't necessarily the most reliable guy health-wise.
He's having a good year. I wouldn't say he's not making a difference this year. First game, he had 7 catches, 113 yards, and a touchdown. He was the best receiver against the Broncos.
And they lost
next week. Obviously the Giants suck. We lose freaking every week. The week after that, he had 9 catches for 94 yards, and then the next week he gets hurt, so he has 2 catches, and then last week 10 for 76.
So he's productive for one game.
Wait, what about the other games?
I just named 3 games right there.
He's productive.
What about the other games?
He was hurt.
Right.
That's 0 production.
Again, your best what is it? Your best abilities, your availability.
Best abilities, availability.
Yeah, well, none of the Giants receivers are available, so it's not just him.
The best game they had this year was against the Saints, and he wasn't there. And the offense flowed a lot better without him.
Didn't miss a beat.
Yeah, it's because everyone else was playing.
No
one else.
Right, they don't need him.
He's expendable, Sean. I'm sorry, especially a team that needs an offensive lineman or pass.
But no one's going to take that contract. If he's overpaid, why would you take an overpaid guy?
Again, that goes to the front office being smarter. They
got
to
be
smarter.
Now you've done it. Now you guys have done it. Here comes Trevor. Trevor, tell him what's up.
You guys are, here's the thing. I'm listening to you guys this whole time. You guys are talking way too much about Sterling Shepard.
Yeah,
Let's talk about something else.
Yeah.
I'm just standing up for sure.
He apologized. You're right. He's not that good to be spending this much time on.
You're right. He's not a game changer.
Well, he's all the Giants have right now.
That's a sad statement.
Which doesn't make sense when you have Evan Ingram,
Well,
who's a
also-
freaking
no,
nature.
Yeah.
Evan Ingram is a
He's a freaking
trash.
nature.
You gotta go.
I package him too. Him, Shepard, and
Yeah.
a pick. In one of the first round picks.
Trevor, are the Giants gonna be able to beat the Panthers?
Without Andrew Thomas not playing, without Kadarius Toney, this offense is very limited. It's back to where we saw last year, the year before. It's very limited with weapons. I expect Carolina to bounce back. I mean, Carolina, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I didn't consider them a legit team, just like I didn't consider the Broncos, and it's showing again that these teams, it's because of their schedule. It could be a wide open game. The Giants defense has to make some sort of way to get Sam Darnold to turn the ball over, give Daniel Jones a chance if they could establish some sort of rushing attack, and keep Daniel Jones healthy. And that's what it comes down to again. This is a game that the Giants could win because it's just what the Giants do. But I would see the Panthers finishing the job. I think they're a more complete team right now, and that's not saying a lot. The Giants are battered with injuries, like every other team, like a team like the Baltimore Ravens. It's just the Giants are in a state of, like we talked about the other day, they need a slap in the face because it's reality time for Giant fans that this isn't a good franchise right now. And we're in the dark days of being Giant fans, and it's just what it is. I'm as passionate as they come as a Giant fan, but you got to be realistic. That's the thing. You could be a fan, and then you could be a biased, a fanatic, and be biased, like some people on this that don't ever pick against the Giants. Don't know who, but we know who we're talking about.
Yeah, I still had the best pick record last year. So
What'd you say?
I had the best pick record. Yeah, I was an expert last year.
Oh, you're talking about the past. Oh,
Yeah, no.
okay. Like all Yankees, like all Yankees.
Wait, but not on
and
picking the,
Giants.
but not on the picking the. Dude, you would have finished so
Giants,
much better.
Yeah, I would
Well, like
been
all Yankee and
amazing.
Giant fans that still
But-
live in the past with all of our championships that we haven't won in 10 years, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the now, and that's what the Giants are. The Giants are not a good franchise. There's a reason why they've started 1-5 or worse the past 5 freaking years. It's just where they're at. Bad drafting, and I know everybody's in love with Kadarius Toney, but guys, we didn't need Kadarius Toney. We didn't. We really
We need
didn't.
Rashawn Slater.
We needed a guy like Rashawn Slater. We needed a guy like Micah Parsons that is changing their teams respectively. But look at the Dallas defense. It's a lot. I won't say a lot better. It's better and much improved from what it was last year. And the
Good
Chargers
enough.
offensive line, Justin Herbert, has some sort of enough time to make the throws. Austin Eckler to get those holes and dominate what he's been doing so far. It's about the need. The Giants haven't been hitting on their draft picks. That's why they're in the state that they are in right now. Bad contracts, bad hires. They got to get away from the same old hirings of guys like Dave Gettleman, people that are in-house. Just can't. Got to change it up a bit because right now that method, that philosophy is not working currently. And that's why the Giants are in the position that they are. And that's why they're 17-51 since 2017, which is currently the worst record in the NFL. They are, and we hate to say it because we used to always break their stones all the time, they are a laughingstock, boys. That's what it comes down to right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't think so, then you're not watching the same thing that most people are watching every Sunday.
You know, it's funny. I don't know why 2017 is the cutoff barometer on that record. I suppose it's because they were 11-5 in 2016.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, because
That's
they
why.
won 2016 season.
But if you go to 2015, 14, and 13, you'll
16's
find
the only good year
they're
had.
racked
Joe,
up a lot
Joe,
more losses there as well.
Joe, since their Super Bowl season, you take away that 11-win year, they only have a combo of 40 wins, combined 44 wins since the Super Bowl. Take away that 11-5 season, they only have 44 wins, guys, in 10 years.
And one of those wins was the year after they won the Super Bowl too. They won 9 games, so it's probably even less. Yeah.
Exactly. That's it. That's what the Giants are. So we could point the finger and laugh at the Detroit Lions or laugh at the New York Jets franchise or even laugh at the Cleveland Browns franchise for what it's been.
We're one of them.
We should really be pointing the finger at us and laughing at ourselves because realistically, guys, it's dark days and sad days for New York Giant fans.
You know, listen, it's funny. Again, I'm 46. I grew up basically when Lawrence Taylor showed up. I started watching football, and Phil Simms and Joe Morris, Carl Banks, Leonard Marshall. This team was really good from 85 to 90. And I knew the Giants sucked in the 70s, but they were great in the 60s, in the 50s, in the 30s, and the 20s. They had some – look at their record, by the way. If you ever get a chance, go on Football Reference. The Giants were unbelievable in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. But, I grew up when the Giants were great, and they were always in it. Went through a little weird stretch in the 90s. They did not do well with the salary cap. They mismanaged it from the jump. And literally there was a gap basically from the 90s. You take out the Super Bowl that they got destroyed in by Baltimore up until Eli took over. This team was dreadful. And we convinced ourselves year after year, like, oh, this is weird. And every now and again they go 9-7, Steve. And you're like, all right, we're back. And then we're 6-10 again the next year. And it's been going on for a long time. And you had a nice stretch run with Eli. And it's over. And again, you get the one blip, couple of years, and that's it. This is a real problem here. They really do need to blow this thing up.
You can't.
And the problem is John Mara's never going to do it.
You can't. You're in New York. You're in New York. I hate to say it, and that's part of the issue. New York don't want to wait. We don't like to wait for rebuilds. We want our teams great right away. We don't like it. Look at any New York team. Look at the Yankees. They don't look to rebuild. They just buy players. You look at, obviously, the Jets and the Mets are a little different, but when it comes to the teams that know how to make money moves, even the New York Knicks, New York teams don't like to wait. They used to buy what they could go on the market and get, and hopefully that'll bring them a championship. That's what the Yankees did for years. They bought championships basically when they was winning, huh? Obviously, in the 90s, obviously they were homegrown. You had your homegrown heroes, but for the most part, we don't like to wait. In New York, we want our teams great right away. We don't want to rebuild.
Listen, let me tell you about the 96 to 2000 Yankees. They did a great job of developing talent, right? Hitting on obviously the core six, really it was, and then supplementing with David Cohn, supplementing with Roger Clemens and guys like that. It was when the Yankees got to the early 2000s and started overpaying for guys and paying for what guys did a couple of years ago and not what they were doing is where the Yankees ran into trouble. And then by 2006, Trevor, am I right? By 06, literally 06, 07, 08, they were terrible. They were still making the playoffs. They were terrible. They were not well-constructed teams. They were not productive. Everybody wanted to be on base. They weren't doing that. The Yankees had to catch up to the analytics. And again, I think this is where the Giants are. The Giants are where the 06 Yankees were, where it's like, we'll just keep adding superstars and doesn't work. Doesn't work when the league changes. You got to keep up.
I'm with Sander. I mentioned it earlier.
It's been a 10-year rebuild.
Yeah,
but look at all the coaches. You're
rebuild every year now.
All these different guys.
You say a 10-year rebuild, but you have 11 in 5 years.
Hold on. I'll tell you why. Ready? I'll tell you why.
Yeah, because we bought everyone in free agency that year.
Let me tell you why. Since they won the Super Bowl, okay, this team has not ever convinced itself that it was in full rebuild mode.
That's true.
They constantly try to do what the 17 Yankees and this year's Red Sox teams did, sort of rebuild on the go and have success. That's a rarity in sports. You don't usually get that to happen. You don't usually rebuild and you make the postseason or go to war. That doesn't happen. It's rare. To think that the Giants were going to do that, that's the philosophy of the Maras. And it's stupid. Again, you know how I feel, Jace, about knockout guys against boxers. I'm always going to take the boxer. The Giants are a knockout kind of organization. Every now and again, good defense, some timely offense, 10-6, wild card, Super Bowl. That's basically been the formula for success. They had one great team, 86, period.
Here's the thing. You guys keep saying rebuild. You can never have a rebuild when you keep going back to step one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
just a build.
Just keeps
Just
chopping
keep
off your
going. Yeah,
nose
that's
to spite
probably
your
it.
face.
We're not going forward, so it's not a rebuild. We're just still building at this point.
It's a mess.
This is a great point. Look at the Browns, the Niners, the Cardinals. You can rebuild in 2 years.
How about the Colts?
with competent personnel, plain and simple.
Look at the Colts. Lost Peyton Manning, went 1-15, drafted Andrew Luck. Now they didn't help him with the offensive line, but they eventually got back to playing Colts football, which was a consistent power in the AFC, and they've been consistent since. Just look, it shouldn't take 4 or 5 years. That's why it's not just drafting in the first round. There's guys that are in the 3rd, 4th round. I mean, look at freaking Russell Wilson. For God's sakes, the greatest player of all time was a 6th-round pick. You could still hit. Now, are you going to get a guy like Tom Brady in the 6th round that's going to hit realistically? No, but it's still a possibility. You got to hit in those day 2 drafts.
And that's what the Giants did with their Super Bowl teams.
You got to hit.
I was going to say, you know what? Listen, I mean, I think if you look back at the Giants drafts in the last 20 years, you can make an argument they've got a lot more success out of their number 7 round picks than they have from their 1st round picks.
Well, just a couple
guys like Bradshaw jump to mind, Wilson, 7th round picks who were big contributors. Crowder, another great one.
A couple picks that come to mind for me recently is, well, the Saquon pick, because there was a need for offensive line, as there has always been, and there was a need for quarterback at the time. And we didn't know. I mean, Josh Allen had the talent. Lamar had the talent. We didn't expect them to be maybe superstars the way that they are now. And another one that really bothers me too is another time that the Giants could have taken an offensive lineman who's become a pretty good, solid perennial Pro Bowler, plays for the New Orleans Saints. His name is Ryan Ramczyk. Had the chance to draft him, but they took a guy named Evan Ingram with Jerry Reese. And that's the problem. The Giants draft for the fanciness, the best of play, the BPA, as they like to call it, BS, I like to call that. They have to draft for need. And they don't draft for need. They needed an offensive lineman. Last year, Andrew Thomas, they took a guy that they needed. He didn't start off good, but guess what? Now, if he can stay healthy, which is unfortunate that he's out right now, but he was playing to a level that, hey, guess what? That's a great pick right there. They needed a quarterback at the time, Daniel Jones. Maybe wasn't a pick that we'll forever talk about, depending how it goes and pans out for the rest of this season. We don't know. But the Giants have been awful with drafting. Their hirings have been questionable, and that's where their situation is. And they go for big play weapons and contracts that just hasn't panned out. And that's
Here's the other thing about the Maras is, look, you bring in Joe Judge and you bring in Bob McAdoo and you bring in these guys that don't have a ton of experience and have never worked in a market like New York. And New York is absolutely brutal, as you know, Zay. It's a brutal market. It's a brutal sports town. And if you're not cut for that, it just makes it that much more difficult. And none of those guys has handled the media particularly well. And I think Joe Judge sounds like an idiot every week as he tries to reassure us that everything is fine when it's clear it isn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot wrong. No one's ever going to have the answer. I mean, it's probably going to continue, and then just out of the blue, Giants will have a winning season like it has been in the past. But with all this criticism about all the different GMs for the Giants, let's play a little GM of our own. Trade deadline's coming up in 2 weeks, and if you were a GM for any team, what is a deal that you would try to get done? Start off with you, Sean, for the trade deadline.
Yeah. So I had 2 written down. One is for the Colts. I would try and go out and get a tackle. The big name would be Jake Matthews for me from the Falcons. I think that the Falcons are absolutely terrible. But they do have a good left tackle in Jake Matthews, and Eric Fisher, who the Colts signed in the offseason, hasn't been working out great. The right tackle, Braden Smith, has been hurt this year. So, I mean, you could put him at either tackle spot. I mean, they're also missing Quentin Nelson. So if you can get some more protection for Carson Wentz up front, I think that would help them a lot. The Colts, the last couple of years, have had a great offensive line. It's kind of dipped off a little bit this year. So I think if they can go out and get a left tackle like Jake Matthews, who I'm sure the Falcons will be looking to trade some people just to try and get a rebuild going, because they're not going anywhere but down as of now. So Colts, Jake Matthews, I think would be a good one. And then secondly, For the Chiefs, they need some pass rush. They need something on defense. Obviously, they've been terrible. So I would try and go out and get Josh Allen from the Jags or Grady Jarrett from the Falcons. They moved Chris Jones, who was normally a D tackle, out to DN this year. So I think they need some interior pass rush. So Grady Jarrett would help there. Or if they can get Josh Allen from the Jaguars, I think the Jaguars would probably be looking to trade too, because we know that they're a terrible team. And Frank Clark has been upsetting this year. He's only played in 3 games. He's been hurt. He doesn't have a sack so far this season. And he's getting paid a whole lot of money to not show up and produce for them. So I think a pass rusher for them would be good. So I'd go after one of them too.
Jay, what you got?
Well, I had the Colts also. I mean, like Sean said, he hit on most of the points, but I also thought the Colts could add a big play receiver, maybe someone. I thought in the offseason, I thought Julio Jones would have been a great fit to go there. Again, the Colts, while they have great offensive weapons, they're still 31st in red zone efficiency, only better than the Giants. And obviously they put up a lot of points last week, but again, you're playing the Texans, who weren't that great, a team that is, to me, is underperforming. I thought at the beginning of the year they'd have a way better record in this division than they have. Obviously, they've lucked out by they having the fact that you have the Jaguars and the Texans in this division who aren't going to pose much of a threat, so they can, continue to linger on the way they are. But that was one of the teams I had. I also had Philadelphia. I thought Philadelphia, to me, I'm not a Jalen Hurts guy. I thought I'd make a push and go down and get Deshaun Watson. I think if you can add a quarterback there in Philly, I think you can have something there. I think they have a ton of offensive weapons. Their defense is pretty good. And I think, again, Deshaun Watson, you can plug him almost into any team, and he can instantly be he can take your offense to a whole new level. So those are probably the 2 teams I was thinking on.
All right. I like those both. Joe, you got any moves?
I do. And you might love this or hate this, but the Baltimore Ravens have 9 picks in the first 4 rounds of next year's draft. I think the Giants should call the Ravens and offer Saquon Barkley. They obviously have a real need at running back, and we have no need for a running back. So I think maybe that's the team. This is the time, and I think that would solve their problems in the short term, and it could help our problem in the long term. Beyond that, I'd love to see the Packers go out and get Braden Cooks. I think maybe even moving Jordan Love to some deserving team like the Texans, or somebody who maybe wants to see what this kid's all about. Yeah, well, you tell that Aaron Rodgers fella you want him around. I think that would really do it. So go out and make that happen. I don't want to see him play for the Jets at the end of his career. You know what I mean? I don't want to see that. I want to see that Brett Favre kind of thing where he's a Viking and he's got a beard, and he's flashing himself to Jets masseuses. I don't want to see that for the end of this guy's career. Keep him in Green Bay. That's where he belongs. Get him Braden Cooks.
Seriously, you think that? I think if their season was to go, if it goes south, I would try to move Rodgers early so you don't get nothing for him. Just lose him in the offseason for nothing. I don't know. That's probably what I would. I'd probably move Rodgers before I move Jordan Love. But
all right. I know Trev and Steve, you guys got the notes a little late. Steve, is there any move that you'd want to see done by any team?
Let me think. I know.
Trev, you got one?
Yeah. You got one?
You got one, Trev?
I do.
Yep.
I think it's very simple. I think if the Green Bay Packers want to get that championship, Aaron Rodgers want to get that championship, they need to add another piece to that offense. It's very simple. Go over to Cleveland, call this guy named Odell Beckham Jr., get him out of there, because that's a something ready to boil up and go into turmoil mode, because the Cleveland Browns have not been performing the way that we expected to in this season. We expected them to be Super Bowl contenders. It hasn't lived up to it. Odell Beckham Jr. is frustrated. Aaron Rodgers, you want your last dance? Well, guess what? You go ask your GM, you want me to stay, or do you want to win a championship with me? You want to end this on a pretty nice note? It's not going to end perfectly, but if you could make this move, you already got Devontae Adams, who was the best receiver in football. Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, they're nice pieces. They are. Robert Tonyan, nice piece. Aaron Jones, one of the best backs in the game. You add another player like Odell Beckham Jr. of his talents, you don't think he'd want to go to Green Bay and play with Aaron Rodgers? if I'm the Green Bay Packers, you're this close from, again, maybe making another NFC title game. Why don't you want to go over the top and go make a move? I know you're cheap. I know you don't like to make moves like this, but it's time to go out and put your marbles, or put your chips in front of the table and go all in with it, because that's what I would say.
Trev, you know why I love that? Because
it's me saying it. Thank you.
But listen, for Odell Beckham Jr. to really truly be a diva wide receiver in the vein of Terrell Owens, Chad Ochocinco, Randy Moss, all the great whiny wide receivers, selfish, kind of, idiotic wide receivers have all played for at least 3 teams. And so if Odell were to go to Green Bay or anywhere else at this point, he would be able to check that box of having played for a minimum of 3 different franchises.
It would also be very funny to see 2 divas together with Aaron Rodgers and OBJ.
Jace, I got
dynamic.
That would be my one trade.
And there's been rumors about this. This one's going to be a little bit crazy. Miami Dolphins to Deshaun Watson.
That's so obvious.
Yeah, but
it's the most obvious trade that's going to happen because you saw the rumors.
Steve, that might happen before the show is over.
That's going to happen. That's like a reality.
It already happened. They just went for physicals.
You ever seen the commercial? Thank you, Captain Obvious. Steve, you pulled the Captain Obvious right there.
Hey, I mean,
it is a good move though, and it is something that they obviously should do. And I do think that there's a little more to it. I do think it's in the works.
Anytime you could get a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, I know that they're 1-5 currently right now. I heard the deal is done. I heard that it's false. I don't think there's anything yet. I know there's a lot of rumors going on. Tua going to Washington, they're saying. There's a lot of rumors with this whole deal going. But until I see breaking news from
listen, there's gotta at least be some sort of conversations happening at a high level, whether it gets done or not. I mean, I think we're beyond just rumor level. I think these are talks that are happening.
Oh yeah, they say that it's supposed to happen.
Right.
So
again, whether they close the deal or not remains to be seen. But I do think that's
it'd be pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. I'm going to the Giants-Dolphins game this year. So if Watson's playing with the Dolphins, that's pretty freaking cool. Not gonna lie.
I don't think he'll be playing. I don't think he'll be playing.
We'll see. It's in December.
Again, I don't know what's going on. We told
during the offseason, you were the one saying that he was gonna play.
No, I said I don't think he'll get suspended. He hasn't got suspended.
Okay.
As far as playing, I can't tell you that because the NFL immediately said if he was to get traded, I believe they said he'd be indefinite, like he's on an exempt list or something like that. He wouldn't be able to play.
Exempt list.
Yeah, something like that. I'm not sure how that's going to work.
But
he on that Trevor Bauer list.
We'll see what happens.
Every week.
The Trevors are all doing well this year. Trevor Lawrence finally got his first win. Finally, Trevor Bauer hasn't played in years, it seems like, and you got good old Trev here. The curse of Trev. The curse of Trev.
A deal has to get if Deshaun Watson's getting dealt. It has to come in the next couple of weeks because trade deadline's coming. But for me, close it out. I think you're the Jaguars. You're struggling. This season's a chalk. You got Travis Etienne in the wings. I think you trade Robinson to the Chiefs because let's be real for a second. The Cowboys, they are just the Chiefs with a run game, and their defense is playing a little bit better than the Chiefs this year. But just for the Chiefs to have a run game, make that offense just that much better, that will catapult them because they've been.
I mean, Darrell Williams is a confident back. Darrell Williams is a pretty confident.
Yeah, you don't like Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
He's out.
No, but I mean, you need a guy.
Yeah, I know.
James Robinson is very consistent, and he's been like, look what he did. He was great last year. He has been the one consistent point for this Jags.
I don't think
team.
he fits that offense. I see James Robinson as more of I feel like a guy like Darrell Williams and guys like Clyde Edwards-Helaire is more of a perfect match for them. Just the way
kind of need a receiving back too.
Just the way their offensive style is, how their schemes are each and every game. I feel like they like that quick.
Maybe they'd be interested in
James Robinson is more of a power back.
James Robinson is more of a power. It's just more of a power back. I don't see the Chiefs ever getting into a power type run game, whereas they like to use their running backs out of the backfield. James Robinson's a great back, don't get me wrong, but he wouldn't be the right fit in Kansas City. He's a better fit in
with
Jacksonville.
that, I mean, with the power back, being able to run
fit.
between the tackles,
Here's a good
here's the play action.
No, Jace, if for a Band-Aid situation, Jace, I think that'll work perfectly. Not like a full-term situation.
A better fit for James Robinson would be Baltimore.
A Band-Aid situation.
I like that too.
A Band-Aid.
Baltimore would be a better fit for him. And
that too,
probably. Because of the way they run, because of their scheme. They love to run the football. So that's a perfect – they're a power eye type team. It's just in a spread offense, a pistol offense. That's what they try to run. Whereas the Chiefs, they like to run and gun. They got that shotgun, the West Coast offense. They love to do it where they're throwing the ball all over the place. James Robinson's more of a power back. He'd be more of a match in Baltimore. That's what I would say.
But even when – no, I do think you do – like a team like that will benefit from a power back. Just being able to run between the tackles better, I think, would just benefit them. I mean,
like I said, Jason, Band-Aid situation. Like Seattle, they had a Band-Aid.
Yeah, and
for their quarterback situation,
yeah. And I mean, you got to have multiple facets. I mean, having to run back by committee is never a bad thing, really. But especially when you got all decent guys like that. But, all right, we're going to talk about some bets, but with bets, you got to take care of your finances. So let's hear from JPEX Financial.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but you don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? And how often do you think about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies, doing the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident with your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website or give us a call at 860-430-5397.
That is JPEX Financial. Thanks them for sponsoring today's episode. And when you're betting on these games, you got to make sure your finances are right. So check out JPEX Financial. And speaking of bets, let's get into some best bets. I'm going to pull up the graphic here soon, but let's start off. Say tomorrow night, you got the Broncos getting it done on the road against the Browns. I know Baker Mayfield's not playing. You got Case Keenum. Both running backs are out for the Browns, so this looks like a good one.
Yeah. Obviously, like you said, no running backs. You're talking about the quarterback, Baker Mayfield, again, re-aggravating that injured shoulder, even though it's not the throwing shoulder. It's still going to play some part in the game. Obviously, maybe I can see him getting knocked out probably this time because he took a lot of shots last week where I wasn't sure if he was even going to get back up. So I think if he did take shots like that this week with such a short turnaround, I'm not sure if he'll be able to finish that game. And that, to me, favors the Broncos. When you have no running back, you got no quarterback. At that point, I think it's a gimme. So I'm going to take the Broncos in this one.
I like it.
Look at he's going to get one of the Broncos defense, you know.
Yeah.
Someone's going to get to the quarterback.
I'm pretty sure the Browns are favored too. So the Broncos +2, right?
It's +2. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it said minus. Am I tripping?
No. Browns are a 3-point favorite.
That's even better for you, there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But
The Browns are favored?
Yeah, the Browns are favored without Baker. Yeah.
Hold on, because
they're home.
The Browns are favored. They're home. They got the better roster. They're favored.
But Baker is Baker playing or not playing?
Baker's not playing. Keenum's playing.
Yeah, they are. That's crazy.
Oh,
You looked at
that's
it
what I
backwards,
thought.
Jace.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
That's weird.
No, I mean,
I assumed that it had to be. I guess we looked at it backwards.
Broncos are going to win the game outright, I would think. You're giving me 3.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My mind was thinking that the Broncos. I guess I read.
No.
I'm
not surprised at all that the Browns aren't favored in that game.
Zay, I would have taken that too. Jeez.
Yeah, now I'm definitely running all over.
hey,
Can I get in on that pick?
Case Keenum was an MVP candidate that year he started for the Vikings.
What year was that?
Once with the Vikings.
2017.
They made the NFC Championship.
Oh, yeah.
2000 when?
17.
Oh, I thought you said
And
7.
then he went to the
Yeah,
Broncos.
Conor McGregor was good that year too.
So was Gary Sanchez.
Yeah. But
Ran right into that one, buddy.
yeah, I
did have
forgot to
a
put
good
this
year.
up before.
I'm
Look at
0-2.
that record.
0-2 both times picking the Bills. You gotta stop picking the Bills, Trevor.
I know.
Or you're just a bad luck charm for
Yeah, or
Josh
when he
Allen.
picks the Bills, they play bad.
Didn't you just hear me earlier? I just said it's karma for the Trevors right now. It's not working well for them.
But other than that, all four of us got wins. Good for us, guys. We all won.
Congratulations.
I clawed back to 500.
Yeah.
4-3 will look nice next week.
Clawed back. I don't think you ever were 500, Joe.
How the hell do you even get a tie?
Yeah, he was.
I mean,
When
clawed
it was
to
0-0.
500.
A
When
push.
it's 0-0, when nobody
I
picked
picked
games.
Cincy +3 against the Packers, and it was a 3-point game. So, all right, Joe. Raiders -3 versus the Eagles. Steve had the Eagles +3 against the Raiders as one of his best bets on Sports Talk.
Oh no! Listen, I think that when the Eagles play bad teams, we mistakenly start to think they're a good team. They're in the Giants league really at this point. And when they play a good team like the Raiders, I think you'll see the difference between where they're at. So I definitely like the Raiders here, given 3 at home in Vegas.
Steve, how are the Eagles going to get it done?
I think Miles Sanders. I think he has a big game. Jalen Hurts has a big game.
Miles Sanders is on 2 of my fantasy teams. He sucks, and he doesn't do anything.
He doesn't get the ball.
They got to get the ball. That's the problem. They got to get him the
ball.
ball. They did it in that last series. Hopefully, Sirianni starts to learn to give him the ball. I just don't buy the Raiders yet. I mean, I think their offensive line is a little bit shaky. Their defense, they're improving a little bit shaky. I'm not buying the Raiders yet. I know they're 4-2, but I'm not buying them yet.
Well, you'll buy him this week, Captain.
No, I think it's going to be a rough time for Jalen Hurts. I think Max Crosby and Ngakoue is going to be down his throat. And I think Darren Waller is going to have a big game. But I don't know. No, Raiders are going to get done. Like, I like Jalen Hurts a lot, but, yeah, I don't see the Eagles getting it done.
In Vegas.
Yeah, in Vegas. A young kid going to Vegas for the first time in Jalen Hurts?
I could see Vegas. I could see Vegas losing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the Eagles aren't that bad.
No way the Eagles are coming into Vegas and beating Derek Carr.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, listen, I just look, Derek Carr is playing at a really high level this year. I got on his train last year. I predicted them to upset the Chiefs. They almost had him a second time last year. This is definitely a better team. And again, like everybody else, dealing with injuries. Josh Jacobs been out. But yeah, these guys, man, I don't know. They find a way to get it done. And again, if this game was at the Link, I might flip it. I might take the Eagles in that case. But I feel like the Raiders at home, I think that's too much for the Eagles.
All right. But now, Sean, the night game, you got the Colts going into Santa Clara.
That was one of mine too. The same one Sean had.
Great mind thinks alike, Steve. Yeah, if you look at the record 4-2 on the year, if you're a sports bettor, just go ahead and take my picks because you're gonna win some money. Yeah. So this week, the Niners, I just don't buy in the Niners this year. They're not that great. They don't have a question or they don't have an answer at quarterback. Both these quarterbacks are questionable going into this week. They still have a pretty good defense, but ever since DeForest Buckner left, that pass rush hasn't been as great. I don't buy into them. And the Colts, they've been in games this year. Obviously, the record is 2-4, but I think they're better than what their record indicates. Obviously, they blow out the Texans last week. The Texans are terrible, and then they have a close game with the Rams. So I think the Colts get it done on Sunday night. Carson Wentz has looked a lot better lately. They get back T.Y. Hilton. So I think the Colts can win outright. I'm surprised that it's this big of a number. So yeah, I'm going Colts +4.
Damn. Steve, you agree with Sean. You're going against Joe, and you're also going against Zay.
Yes, I'm going against Zay, and I know that Baker's not playing, and Chubb and Hunt aren't playing, but I think it's going to be the defense of the Browns, going to be the pass rush of Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney getting pressure on Teddy Bridgewater, just like Max Crosby did last week for the Raiders. And I think the Browns win this one. I think they win it by a score, but I still think they win and cover at home. Denver on a short week, having all the way to Cleveland, lost 3 in a row. I'm going with the Browns as my best bet.
That same defense that's given up 84 points in the past 2 games?
It's Teddy Bridgewater. Last week with Justin Herbert and Kyler Murray. It's Teddy Bridgewater.
Why is so much slander for Teddy? What did Teddy do to you?
They have
that's Zay's favorite quarterback.
Yeah, listen, I don't disagree with Steve. I mean, look, the Browns
have solid weapons,
has gotten absolutely lit up, but it's a good defense.
It doesn't matter.
I do think that the Browns defense, unlike the Washington defense, I think can turn things around and play better. They've got the talent. They got everything they need. So they're going to be.
They don't need Teddy to be like Kyler. They don't need him to be Herbert, where he has to throw for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. They have weapons on that team. They can run the football with Javonte Williams. I got Noah Fant. They do have weapons still. Let's not forget Cortland Sutton, who was almost like a 1,400-yard receiver before he got injured and he shattered his leg last year. He's a solid receiver. Tim Patrick, another solid receiver.
I was going to say, dude, Tim Patrick might be one of the best number 2 guys in the league. Every week that guy puts up numbers.
Teddy doesn't have to do a lot. If he just does the right time when asked to make those throws, he can deliver. I'm not saying he's going to be Kyler Murray or Justin Herbert this week and go off. But I'm saying this defense is questionable with the Cleveland Browns. And we thought this defense was going to be stout. I mean, I know it's against Kyler and Herbert the past 2 weeks, but still, that's where we got to see the measuring stick for the Cleveland Browns defense. How legit are they? Yeah. Can't handle the great quarterbacks? Maybe you handle a middle-of-the-pack guy in Teddy Bridgewater. We'll see. But it's a toss-up type game. It's not like definitely the Cleveland Browns are winning.
Yeah, if the Broncos don't get way behind, they got a chance. I'll definitely give you that. It's just if they get way behind, because that happened against the Ravens, that happened against the Steelers, that happened last week. If the Broncos get behind with Bridgewater, it's going to be a tough night for them.
That's what I'm saying. This is a toss-up type game. This could be like a 51-49% type game. I mean, you could go 50-50 either way. It doesn't matter.
I know the Browns got some weapons still, but who's going off? Jonathan Peoples-Jones? Who is going off on that Cleveland team?
I like the Broncos to win the game.
I'm sorry.
I think they're missing way too many weapons.
We'll see what happens.
And Jarvis Landry, he's obviously out as well. Yeah, I mean they're seriously lacking. Who's gonna put the ball in the end zone?
Ernest Johnson.
Odell Beckham Jr.
I have him in fantasy. I need a big week. So
well, I wouldn't bank on that. All right.
It should be interesting. Definitely a lot more interesting with all those injuries to the Browns this game is. But Trev, you gonna get your first win this week?
We've all heard the saying, third time's a charm. Well, Trev's gonna get it this week because the Washington football team is god awful right now. They are dead last in giving up the most passing yards per game at just over a solid 309 yards per game. I expect Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and company to dominate this game. This Washington team is not good. This supposed dominant defense that we were all waiting for and was going to be Super Bowl caliber has not shown up. Chase Young, who I'm a huge fan of, hasn't really been his sacks, doesn't have a lot of sacks. I don't even think he has a sack right now. This team is struggling defensively. I expect Green Bay to torch this team up, and I expect them to pick them apart. And they're on a roll. Since they lost their 38-3 opening loss to the Saints, they're on a roll. They're finding ways to win close, and they're finding ways to win big. This is a game I expect them to cover, and I expect them to win big over a team in the entire NFC East, the definition, that's been pretty much god-awful other than the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. 8.5 is a big number, though.
Oh, I know, but I was looking at some of the bigger games. Like I wanted to pick the Bucs, but did you see the Cardinals spread? The Cardinals spread's almost 18.5 or 18.
Speaking of the Cardinals game, I got the Cardinals with the over 17.5. I wanted to pick it, but that's just so big. I think that against this Texans defense, I think the Cardinals themselves can score 48 points. Cardinals do also have a tendency to, after big wins, play down their opponents. So I can see the Texans scoring a couple here. So that's why I have it the over and 47. Like for how electric this Cardinals offense is, that's a pretty low number. So I think they'll get pretty smashed. But all right, that's gonna do it for best bets. And let's take a look at fantasy locks last week.
Oh, would you look at that, Tyreek Hill?
Tyreek Hill did great.
How are we doing this? How am I at the bottom? I'm in the lead.
I already got.
Did I win last week?
Yes, you won last week with Matt Stafford.
Oh, so I've done 2 times and I almost got 40 points. Man, you guys are. If I was doing this all year, you guys would be screwed.
You can only pick one player a week.
No, you have 37.6 total. You're averaging 59,
almost 20 points.
About,
almost 20 points a game.
Yeah, almost 20. Look what I'm averaging.
Just remember, 2 players. I've only had 2 games. You kick ass right now.
Sean, you finally broke 100.
Yeah.
But the Najee Harris pick was good. I mean,
I'm sticking with running backs from now on.
Yeah. All right, and we'll get to that. But we just talked about Cardinals against the Texans. Revenge game for J.J. Watt, but also DeAndre Hopkins. And Joe, you gonna put up?
Yeah, look, that defense is not great, and Kyler Murray's having an MVP caliber season, and he's got to get the ball into DeAndre Hopkins' hands, and DeAndre Hopkins going to light it up, score a couple touchdowns, 130 yards in the air, like 10 catches. It's going to be a DeAndre Hopkins kind of day. That's your guy. Make sure you lock him in.
All right, and Zay, sticking in that game, you just got the QB. Kyler Murray.
SpongeBob Square pick of the week. I need to make up some more points, make up some more ground on you guys. Guys actually catching up. Like you said, one of the highest scoring teams in the league. He'll obviously put up a lot of points, hopefully to Joe's guy, but just not enough that Joe ends up beating me this week. But
nice.
We'll see.
Man,
a lot of Christian Kirk and AJ Green.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And Rondell Moore. Or is he injured? He's always injured. But or at least in college. But now, Sean, you're sticking with the running backs. The running back, the best running back against the struggling Chiefs defense.
That's right. Najee Harris finally got it done for me last week. It's the first running back I picked. So I'm going to try to get back in this. And who better to pick than Derrick Henry, who, like you said, best running back in the league. I hope that he goes on a tear this week. Maybe another 100-yard game with 3 touchdowns would be huge for me to try and get back into this fantasy lock race. So, King Henry, it's up to you. Let's get it.
Okay. And, Steve, you're in that game too. You're going Patrick Mahomes to get it done?
Yeah, should have a big week against this Titans defense. I mean, he should go off. He should have 4 or 5 touchdowns. Weather should be nice. It's supposed to be nice in Nashville. It's going to be a back-and-forth game. I picked it 35-31 on my show today, and I think Mahomes is a huge week, throws 4 or 5 touchdowns against the Titans.
All right. So I think we're all just doubling up on games. But, Trev, Monday night, Alvin Kamara.
The genius never doubles up. Never. I was actually going to go Derrick Henry, Sean. So good call. But anyways, I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara coming off the bye. And the Seattle Seahawks are giving up a beautiful 141 yards on the ground. They're a terrible defense. I know they had the opportunity to win last week against Pittsburgh, but Najee had another solid game for them. They haven't been able to stop anybody on that defense. Alvin Kamara, I expect him a lot to be heavily involved in that passing game. Jameis, you know how he likes to check it down sometimes. Maybe it could be his best friend because of the sense of the way he likes to be turnover prone. But I'm going with AK-41. I expect him to have a huge game coming off the bye.
And I didn't mean doubling up players. We're doubling up games. Joe and
I got to be
Zay on the Cards. Sean and Steve on the Titans Chiefs game. I'm sorry. Sorry, Trev. I got Jameis. And I got him because,
you could have picked any other quarterback. You could have picked Rodgers against Washington.
My boy,
I would have believed you.
My boy.
The last time you did this was a travesty for yourself.
I know. But he's going to get done against the Seahawks.
Why?
Why? Because the Seahawks' best coverage defender is Bobby Wagner, and Jameis loves to look down the field and throw the football. Blitz boy ain't gonna do.
Well, he has a lot of
anything.
picks. We know.
Yeah.
Jameis is he's so inconsistent.
Seahawks secondary is terrible.
Yeah,
I understand that, but it's Jameis. We just
Jamal
said Teddy.
Adams.
We said Teddy Bridgewater a little while. All of a sudden, we
It-
think Jameis Winston's a
It
solid
depends what
quarterback.
Jameis you get. He's had a lot of good games this year. Just got to stay away from the interception.
Sean,
Jamal
you say a lot of
Adams.
good. Sean, you say a lot of good things on the show. That wasn't one.
Look at, I mean, he's had. I know for a fact he's had 2 solid games. It's still early in
Oh,
the season.
2 solid games out of 6. Whoops.
He had
And-
3. He's had 3. It's been one good,
Yeah,
bad,
he's been-
good, bad,
he's been
good, bad.
efficient.
So this week he should be good.
A lot of
Coming off
passing
a
yards,
bye.
or a lot of passing touchdowns. Excuse me, not a lot of passing yards.
Coming off a bye,
Guys,
I
it
think
stinks.
him. The Seahawks, like I said it prior to the season, everyone looked at me with questionable faces because
Not me. I'm riding the Jameis train with you.
No, I'm talking about the Seahawks. The Seahawks, they
Oh.
regressed because they've stayed the same. Everyone around them got better, and this is a team right
they
now.
stink. They stink. I
Yeah.
can't believe everybody buys into Seattle. I know Steve loves the Seattle Seahawks.
I'm done with them now. I'm done.
Yeah, about time. You should have been done with them like 4 years ago when they're the same exact team. They get to the playoffs and they lose in the first round. They're like the
I
Yankees.
always have bought into
like the
Russell
Yankees.
Wilson, but the problem there is just the defense is just awful. And Bobby Wagner's regressed this year. This defense is just terrible. I'm done with them in terms of being a championship contender. And obviously with Wilson, they're not going to be able to win a lot of games.
Yeah. So, yeah, Jameis is going to get done. I think he's going to light up that defense. So,
Yeah, right.
yeah. You said Alvin Kamara is going to do great things in the passing game. Guess who's giving him the ball? Jameis.
Taysom Hill, baby.
Oh,
Taysom
yeah.
Hill.
Yeah.
Don't forget about Taysom Hill.
Both his passes against the Giants were picks. So, but all right.
Yeah, he ran over the entire.
He ran over
defense.
he ran over the defense
Yeah.
for a touchdown also. So
Yeah, he's not
The Giants
passing the
got
ball
the
to
dub.
Alvin Kamara. I'll tell you that. But,
That's the only thing that scares me about the Saints is because of and why I picked Alvin. I'm thinking about it now. I'm going to go with it, but still, when Taysom Hill's in, he takes away from Alvin. So
Yeah.
I'm taking the
But,
chance.
Let's go.
You can't win them all.
No. But that's going to do it for John About the G-Man. Thanks you, Trevor, Keys to the City, Steve from Sports Talk with R&J for joining us.
Great being on with you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks,
for
boys.
coming. But that's going to do it. Shout out to JPEX Financial and Mosquito Shield for sponsoring today's episode with Mosquito Shield. Make sure you go to their website, sign up for their services for this spring, and you can get a discount code by saying John About the G-Man and Clovercrest Media sent you. And for myself, Big J, Joe Guire, Sean Scanlon, Kingsley, Trevor Keys, and Steve Risser, take care. Enjoy the games. I don't know how much we're going to be able to enjoy the Giants game, but we'll see.
Thank God I don't get on TV up down here. So
Oh, yeah.
Lucky.
But,
Yeah, right.
Lucky.
you just got to watch
That's
ESPN.
True Giant fans
the
like
ticker.
that. Lucky. I'm lucky because I don't get to
Yeah.
see the Giants. Still want to watch.
Forced to watch them every week.
Heartbreaking every week. But
Hey, that's why you got Red Zone, boys.
yeah. Let's hope it's not as heartbreaking this week, but we'll see. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next week to talk more New York Giants football. Peace out. The Giants are running New York like the Times as Danny is dropping all sorts of dimes. Saquon's thighs are ruining defenses' lives and Leonard Williams making opposing QBs feel him. Receivers think it's scary to line up across James Bradbury, and the Giants have a bright future led by Coach Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Tune in to Drawing About the G-Men every Wednesday at 6, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Hello, my name is Joe Guire. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but you don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? And how often do you think about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies, doing the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident with your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website or give us a call at 860-430-5397.
It's been a pretty wet summer in Connecticut, and that means more mosquitoes than ever. If you didn't have your home service for mosquito control and find you're spending most of your time outside swatting those little pests, you are in luck. Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut provides the best value in mosquito control services because of how they treat your yard using the Mosquito Shield tailored treatment system. They don't use a fixed schedule or an identical product, one-size-fits-all service program because you can't control mosquitoes on a set number of sprays or visits. Unlike the competition, Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut will service you for the season, whatever it takes to provide superior results. This promise has awarded them an industry-leading consumer retention rating of 90%. Visit MosquitoShieldCT.com to schedule an appointment with Wade the Cesare and enjoy the rest of your summer mosquito-free.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Burn, the Unsolved Murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting ClovercrestMedia.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to All Four Downs, a special edition of the NFL Picks. I'm with Hector V, and once again, myself, my Movie Muniz. Hey, we're entering week 7 of the NFL. A lot of bye weeks for these teams, so we're down to 13 games for this weekend, for this actually for that one game on Thursday, the rest on Sunday, and of course our Monday Night Football. But this Thursday we have the Denver Broncos versus the Cleveland Browns. So that's an interesting game. We're going to get to that and as much as other games. But, hey, Hector, you and I, we've been crunching neck to neck each week, and I got you by one this past week with the Titans defeating the Bills. I mean, I took it by surprise that the Titans were able to score that much.
Yeah, first off, I'm just excited to be back. I know I wasn't here last week and you had to do the show by yourself. But hey, I'm back and we're going to finish this up. And yeah, it came down to that game, because I took the Thursday night game with Tampa Bay, and then the London game, you took that one, which was a pretty close game. Again, that came down to, the way that game ended, I liked it. I wasn't going for Jacksonville, but the way the play call was, let's get that first down, call a timeout real quick. I did not see that coming. That set up perfect. Just 1 second just to get that field goal. That was great on their part. I'm glad for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They snapped that 25-game losing streak, or 20, whatever it was. And, hey, now it came down to Monday night. A lot of offense, no defense. There was no way of stopping Derrick Henry. He scored 3 touchdowns, over 173 yards. And, yeah, I can't fault Buffalo for going for it. They didn't want the tie to go to overtime. They wanted to try to win it, and that's what they did. I can't fault them for it. So, yeah, that was a good loss. I take it, It is what it is, So
yeah, but just the way that they went for it on 4th down, like the quarterback fell like flat.
Yeah,
like the legs didn't move enough. You know what I mean? And
it's like once he got, he just fell forward. Yeah.
would that cost them later on by week 17? Because you never know what's going to happen.
Yes, because when you start talking about tiebreakers, head-to-head matchups, you know what I'm saying? If you look at it right now, Buffalo has fallen in the playoff seed because of that loss. You know what I'm saying? Now, if it comes to a tie, Tennessee owns the head-to-head. You know, so and we got to start looking at that. We're already in week 7. I know we're not even halfway, literally, but you know, when we talk about Baltimore beating, you know, Los Angeles, the head-to-head matchups like that is going to count later on when it gets down to the end of the season. So, yeah,
it's all about home field advantage. Man.
Yes, yeah, and we got to think that we got an extra playoff team, so we got 7 now. So only the number 1 seed is going to get the bye. Number 2 will get a first-round home game. So that's going to be new. So right now, you know, the Chargers and Titans and the Bills, they chasing the Ravens for that number 1 spot. So that's what they're looking at in the AFC. But yeah.
Well, especially you're talking about the AFC. Let's continue on with Thursday Night Football with the Denver Broncos at the Cleveland Browns. That game will be, again, Thursday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 66 degrees. It should be raining, but a big concern is, will Mayfield be able to play? Now, right now, they're saying that he is going to play the game, but there's no definite answer. Then on the other side, Terry Bridgewater, man, he is what we always thought he was. You know, just an average quarterback. He's not elite, something that the Denver Broncos are searching for to complete the team. You know, they need a star behind the center, and Bridgewater is not the guy. And I don't care what the media says, right? Terry Bridgewater was lucky the first 3 weeks because he was going against 3 teams that were below average.
Exactly.
You're talking about the New York Giants, the New York Jets, right? Then the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, of course they're going to win because of the defense that they have.
Right.
Now they're playing against real competitive playoff contender teams, and Bridgewater is just throwing interceptions left and right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you right now, because I'm going to lead it off, the Denver Broncos will lose regardless of the status of the Cleveland Browns. I know they're banged up, but I got the Browns itching out the Broncos at home.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you know, we said it after the week 3 win, they were 3-0, but we already knew the status of that. They haven't played nobody. Now we have seen coming up to this game against Cleveland, who have they been playing, and has been shown that they are not ready for the playoffs. They're not ready for prime time here. I mean, and yeah, the Browns are banged up. I mean, you're talking about an injury mess there all over the place from Mayfield, you know, and then you got Chubbs and some of the offensive line, wide receivers like Beckham, defense, they're a shambles. But with Cleveland being at home, you know, I still give them the edge because Broncos, their defense, it's a struggle. And we all know Cleveland can put points on the board. They can score. Okay. So yeah, I have to agree. I got Cleveland winning this game, as messed up as they are. And this is really going to show that Denver is still going to slide down that slope in Colorado, that landslide that they're on, and they're going to continue going down. So I too got Cleveland in this game.
All right. Well, we got the Carolina Panthers visiting the New York Giants. That game is on Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Panthers are 3-3, 1-1 on the road against the Giants, who were still winless at home. And last game, the fans were booing the Giants. I mean, tremendous. I mean, look, you're spending a lot of money to go to these games, and yet the Giants, they barely could put any points on the board. They'll start off with a field goal, maybe a touchdown, and then you don't see them do anything until almost to the end of the game.
Yeah, that's the MO. That's the MO of the Giants. We've just seen that year in and year out. They always find a way of scoring first, and then they lose all their gas.
Oh no, that was it. That was the whole point. It's still preseason.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Hey man,
ridiculous.
Look, I'm not comfortable with the New York Giants. I think we're getting more boos. But regardless of what's going to happen, I mean, check out Drawing About the G-Men on Clovercrest Media because they're covering the New York Giants. But the Carolina Panthers, I got them winning this game.
Yeah, our Giants is just a shamble right now. I mean, I'm surprised we're not winless like the Detroit Lions. And honestly, I mean, Detroit to me is playing better than the Giants. They should have a win by now. But that's a different story another time. I mean, the Giants are just a great shambles. I got Carolina winning this game.
Okay. Also, look, Sam Darnold playing a good football, better than the New York Jets. I mean, you're gonna hear them stories over and over again. But hey, the Washington football team versus the Green Bay Packers. Look, I don't know what to say, man. I'm just gonna stick with the Packers. They're gonna win.
You know, they had a meltdown in week 1 against the Saints, but ever since they just been on a monstrous roll. And even though Washington football team hung around with the Chiefs early, they flopped after that. You know, there's like their defense just gassed and Patrick Mahomes tore it up. And now they got Aaron Rodgers on the other side. So I don't see much difference is what's going to be from last week to this week. So is Taylor Heineke over his head on this? Maybe so. I don't know. But I see Green Bay winning this game.
All right. And, you know, Aaron Rodgers, he's been pretty bold, especially, when he told the Bears, you know what I mean, the fans and everything. But that's going to bite him later on at the end of the season. You'll see.
Yeah.
You'll see. But, hey, next game is the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tennessee Titans. Look, man, Titans, I think they played all out. Do they have enough ammo or enough fuel to beat the Chiefs? But then again, the Chiefs themselves, that defense, the lack of defense. So I'm going to give it one more time, right? Chiefs are 2-1 away, but the Titans are 2-1 at home. I'm going to go for the home team on this one. I'm going for Tennessee. Maybe my ruck doesn't run out anymore, but I'm taking Tennessee on this one.
You know, I cannot see the Chiefs stopping Derrick Henry, but Patrick Mahomes he's finding that harmony, that syncness with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Hardman. So, and then the running game, it's picking up. So I think the Chiefs can do a shootout here, unlike what Buffalo did. I mean, Buffalo fell short with that shootout. So Tennessee's going to have to be careful with Patrick Mahomes and company. I'm taking the Chiefs in this one in a very close game. And I think they can take Tennessee because Tennessee, they're inconsistent. I mean, they lose to the Jets, but then they beat Buffalo, who is a heavy favorite. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, Tennessee, to me, they're just kind of wishy-washy. I'm not saying much about the Chiefs, but I think
wishy-washy?
Yeah, they're a little wishy-washy.
Wishy-washy. I like that word.
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
So I got the Chiefs in this one.
Well, let's see if you can wax on, wax off on this pick right here when we got the Falcons visiting the Miami Dolphins. I mean, the Falcons 2-3, 1-1 on the road. The Dolphins are 1-5, but they're winless at home. And Matt Ryan, he's doing all right, but Miami has, I think, Tua's back. Am I right?
Tua's back, and of course, we know the rumor of Deshaun Watson going to Miami.
Yeah. But you know what I like? I'm digging the Falcons on this one. I don't know why. I'm going to pick the Falcons.
I got the Falcons on this one too. I mean, the way Tua played last week in London, I think he could have done more to beat Jacksonville. And I think the defense could have stepped up a little bit more to help out, I think the defense just didn't read it right and let Jacksonville set themselves up to win the game with only 8 seconds left. So I look for Atlanta to figure things out on offense with Matt Ryan coming out of it and bam, getting that solid win against the Miami Dolphins.
All right, we got the Jets and the Patriots. This is a good AFC East matchup. I think they're pretty much even, except look, the Patriots are playing good football, with the rookie quarterback of Mac Jones. I'm a big fan of Mac Jones. There's anybody in the Patriots organization that I like most is Mac Jones. He has a future. He's going to do well with that team, and he's still learning the business. But on the other side of that, so is Zach Wilson. And I'm sorry to say, Zach Wilson, I don't think you're going to do anything with the Jets. I mean, it might be improving, but I think the Patriots got an upper hand on this for the future. But I'm picking the Patriots on this just because points per game, Patriots are all over it. And their defense is just much better than the Jets right now. So I'm taking the Patriots.
Look, New England has played some tough competition this year, you know what I'm saying? And they lost that heartbreaker last week to Dallas. They could have beaten them. I think they just made a few mistakes, having the lead, with less than 3 minutes left, they should have maybe do clock management, run the ball a little bit, but I think he was just forcing that ball a little too much. But the Patriots did beat the Jets in week 2, 25-9. I think this is going to continue on, and the Patriots will beat the Jets in this game. Mac Jones will outshine Zach Wilson once again and sweep it. So, yeah, New England, I got New England.
All right. Fair enough. My favorite game of the week is this right here. The Cincinnati Bengals visits the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Ravens are undefeated at home. They're 3-0, right? Look, Baltimore should never be where they're at. I mean, this team is so banged up, and the only person that's running the show right now is Lamar Jackson. He is making his MVP run, okay? They want to look at Murray in Arizona. They want to look at Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Look, stop. You want to talk about MVP? Lamar Jackson. Without Jackson, there won't be any Ravens. I'm telling you that right now. So, look, I know I'm hyping up the Baltimore Ravens, but damn, I'm falling in love with the Cincinnati Bengals with Burrow and Chase, that combination. I mean, they got a lot of firepower in that team, and they're all young and they're hungry. They're playing like they don't care. We're just going to play some football. They're not worried about anything. No one's talking about the Bengals, all right? And if you look at the AFC North, the Bengals are only a game behind of the Ravens, okay? And I'm sorry to say, man. Well, I'm not sorry. I'm telling you. I'm going for the upset. I am going for the Bengals.
Look, we got to put some respect on the AFC North, okay? They're starting to be tough. Steelers are coming up. Since Cleveland is still hanging around, even though they're banged up, okay? You just said about Baltimore, Cincinnati, they're playing good football. I mean, their offense is clicking everywhere around Joe Burrow. Burrow knows how to control this offense, and he's doing great with it. And, we flopped the pick last week when we got the Chargers over the Ravens. Ravens just walked all over them, okay? I mean, that was just a surprise that they could not get no offense going in that game. The Ravens D just pummeled them. But I think Cincinnati will score some points in this game. However, I think it's going to come down to maybe a key fourth quarter drive. And I think with Lamar Jackson being 7th in rushing in the NFL as a quarterback, he's 7th in rushing. Yes. I think he's going to be able to outshine the Bengals defense and get that win, a close win. I even think maybe Cincinnati will cover that spread because I think it's opened up at 6.5. But overall, Baltimore will beat the Bengals, but this is not the last we're going to see of these two teams.
No, we're not going to see that's the last, right? One of the Facebook users says, I got the Ravens winning 28-20, but I can see the Bengals playing upset the way Burrow is playing. You're right. And that Burrow and Chase is no joke.
Yes.
Hey, speaking about Facebook users, if you can't see your name, again, please accept whatever guidelines is it for Facebook, so that way your name is present in our show. But I appreciate everyone's support, tuning in and making those comments. Listen, let's go. Let's move on to the next game, which we got the Eagles visiting the Raiders. Now, I did not pick the Raiders last week. I was fooled. I thought that because of the Gruden story and everything else that it was going to be, a less performance for the Raiders. I was proven wrong. Actually, they did a lot better without Gruden.
Yes.
And it seemed like they had more freedom of maneuver there in the offense. And I think that they're going to stick to that. Whatever is working last week is going to happen again. David Carr, he's going to have a spectacular passing. I wouldn't be surprised if he reaches a 400-yard passing, all right, and giving the ball to Ruggs. But I still like Jalen Hurts. I still do. But I don't think they have enough yet. And I think the Raiders are set for the playoffs. So I'm taking the Raiders.
I know you say you like Jalen Hurts because it seems like after 6 weeks, when we have picked against each other, you've picked Philadelphia 3 times against me, and you're 1-2 when you pick the Eagles against me. So I see what you're talking about when you like Jalen Hurts. And I'm not a Philly fan. I'm not a Cowboy fan. I'm not a Washington football fan. But Jalen Hurts is going to be a bright star there in Philadelphia. And before the show, I told you I had 2 games which I was struggling with. And this was one of them because I went back and forth because the Eagles are much better on paper than what their record is showing. And I can see how they could pull this upset, because we've been seeing weirder things in 6 weeks of football. But the Raiders showed me last week that even though the Gruden situation is already, I don't know if it's still lingering there, but he's gone. I just don't see how the Raiders are going to struggle against that defense, against Philadelphia's defense. Now, Jalen Hurts is maybe do his thing, but I think David Carr is on a whole different level than Hurts right now. So I do see a close game, maybe a one-score game, but I got the Raiders over the Eagles. But, man, I'm intrigued to see what happens with this game.
Same here. But you know what's even better? Is a soap opera, a man's soap opera. You ready for this?
Okay.
Here we go. Drum roll,
Let's go.
please. Bing. The Detroit Lions visiting the LA Rams. And why do I say that? Well, I'm going to tell you. Goff went to Detroit. Stafford goes to the Rams. Okay. They're going now up, switching uniforms, playing opposite teams from last year, and that will be the story. And who's playing the better cards here? Is it Goff or is it Stafford? Of course, it's Stafford. I mean, this guy's throwing already nearly 2,000 yards. He's already thrown 16 touchdown passes. I mean, he ended up 4 interceptions, but with Goff, he's just in a bad team that will never get good, probably for another generation.
It always goes to show that Matthew Stafford wasn't the problem in Detroit. He just didn't have a team, an offensive team. He didn't have the weapons. Now you put him on a team who has that, and now look what he's doing. He's a front runner to represent the NFC for the Super Bowl.
I picked the Rams versus the Raiders, so I'm not changing my pick.
And the Rams, they are relentless. I mean, when it comes to bad teams like the Lions, they like what they did against the Giants. They just smashed them. And I think they still got enough in the tank to say, we'll continue part 2 this week against the Lions. I think the Rams are going to walk all over the Rams are going to walk all over the Lions in this game. I'm sorry, Goff, but Stafford's going to get you on this one.
Yeah, by the way, I'm picking the Rams too. So
yeah, I do feel bad for Jared Goff.
I don't feel bad.
But I mean, it is what it
is.
Pay
millions of dollars. I don't feel bad. Good for him.
Oh well.
Yeah, I feel bad for Houston.
Oh my God.
Houston and Arizona. But you know what though? As much as we say, we'll feel bad for this team, whatever, Houston still got a chance to upset teams. You never know what can happen in any given Sunday. And are the Arizona Cardinals too comfortable knowing that they're the only undefeated team in the NFL? Just saying. Could that be pressure enough?
I think it's pressure that they're the only undefeated team, but I think it motivates them because I know they're hearing what everyone else is hearing, that the Cowboys are the front runners for to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. So there's no respect being put on the Cardinals' name at their undefeated status. So I think that they can use that as motivation and not get comfortable and say, look, if you're not going to put our name in the mix, then we're going to continue going out there and showing you what we can do. Last week, we took the Browns, thinking that they were going to pull that upset. But I'm sorry. If the Browns couldn't do it, what makes you think the Houston's going to have more firepower than the Browns do to even stop Kyler Murray in that offense? I'm sorry. To me, I know we've seen stranger things happen, but right now, besides our Giants, I think Houston and Detroit are the 2 worst teams in the NFL. And I don't see it getting any better against the
Arizona Cardinals. Saying that for the longest since the very beginning.
I mean, with the point spread, they give it. I mean, this looks like a college football point spread. I mean, this is ridiculous.
One of those Alabama games.
Yeah, pretty much. Alabama against the NCAA, pretty much. Yeah. But yeah, I got Arizona winning this game pretty comfortable.
All right, fair enough. All right, we got the Chicago Bears visiting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, look, Tom Brady's he's playing like he is like in his early 20s. You know, I mean, this guy doesn't stop with all these record-breaking passing touchdowns and yards and everything. I mean, he is truly the number one guy. On the other side, we have a rookie called Justin Fields, and he's going to drop the D because he's going to feel it, the pain that's going to happen to him. I'm taking the Bucks all the way. I won't be surprised if this game is a blowout.
Yeah, the Bears. I mean, Justin Fields, rookie versus Tom Brady, a legend. I mean, I don't think Tom Brady forgot that, he lost to the Bears last year. I don't think he forgot about that. So I think it's somewhat, I don't know if it's a revenge or what, but I don't see him having any problems with the Bears this year. I think his offense is solid, and they're going to exploit that defense on Chicago's side. Justin Fields not going to have no answer. I mean, that Buccaneers defense probably going to have him running all over the place. So, yeah, I got the Buccaneers winning this game.
All right. The Colts versus the 49ers. I mean, like both teams are banged up on this one. I mean, you look at their injury report, and it's a long list for both teams. But I'm just going to stay safe. I'm going to stay safe in this pick. I'm picking the Indianapolis Colts because the 49ers haven't won at home at all yet. They're 2-3, but they're 0-2 at home. The Colts with Wentz, I think they're developing that game. I like Taylor. I mean, I watched Taylor run when he was with Wisconsin, and I think they got a good receiving core that can outlast the 49ers. Picking the Colts on this.
Let's not forget that the 49ers are coming off a rest. They're getting a little more rest because they're coming off of the bye week. But, yeah, you're right. They're still banged up. And again, it just goes to show, you do not side with the 49ers. I mean, it just goes to show that this year, that since we've been doing our picks, you have not seemed to be signed with you have not picked the 49ers yet. It's like you got something against the 49ers. I don't know what it is,
It's the Garoppolo and that Trent thing, man.
And so, and when and that was in the back of my mind because I said to myself, okay, two teams are terrible. Two teams here are banged up. Okay. The one time I picked the Colts against you, I lose. But the one time you pick the Colts against me, you win. I picked the 49ers 4 times against you because you don't seem to give no respect to the 49ers. I'm batting 500 with the 49ers when I pick against you. So I'm like, okay, I take all this analytics into play here, and I'm like, something got to go. So I went to another route. I took a coin and I flipped it, and tails.
That's all you had to do?
That's all
I think everybody does that when they go to sports betting, man.
I mean, I struggle with these two sorry teams, honestly. And I'm just gonna try it one more time, brother. I'm going for Indianapolis one more time.
Okay.
I'm just going one more time. But if I lose with Indianapolis one more time, I quit. And
you sound like Jace from the John about the G-Man.
Look, when I pick these teams combined against you, I'm like losing all over the place. So I got to go somewhere here. I'm going to Indianapolis this one time, and if it fails, it fails. I mean,
you're finally going to listen to me is what you're saying. All right, no problem. That's okay. It's all right. No, I understand. No. I know, I'm the big dog here. I got you about one game last week.
That's just one. That's just one.
One time?
One time.
Hey, Monday Night Football, you got the Seahawks against the Saints. Now, Winston, what type of guy is he? Is he going to represent the Saints? I mean, I don't know what type of offense we're going to see. I mean, they're 3-2, 2-1 on the road. The Seahawks are 2-4, 0-2 at home, and they're without Russell Wilson. And you understand they don't play right without Wilson. There's some key things that he is able to do with that offense that because he's not playing, it's just no bueno. I'm telling you that right now. And, they had a chance to upset the Pittsburgh Steelers. That didn't happen. I just don't trust Geno Smith. Geno Smith is not a great quarterback. And he's not even a great backup. I'm sorry to tell you. I mean, you put him in there, and it just makes the team a lot worse. So I'm picking the Saints.
Look, I agree with you there, but one thing that Saints got going for themselves is that they keep it on the ground and give it to Alvin Kamara. He can exploit the Seattle's run defense, and that may help him a little bit there. That may be the little upside there. I honestly think that Winston is a little bit better than Geno Smith. I think he can make more plays in this situation. Seattle, they are in a bad situation without Russell Wilson right now. I hate to say that because Seattle is an elite team. They're a good team. But without Russell Wilson, you're showing who you really are without that man. And I think the Saints are going to pull this one out, and the Seahawks' woes are going to continue. We're going to continue clipping those wings. I hate it. But, yeah.
Well, hey, I'm glad that we had this talk. I like it a lot. And once again this week, I think I'm going to go up at least 2 on you on this one.
Well, I need to win both to take a 1-game lead on you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All I need is Kansas City and Baltimore to win, and I take a 1-game lead on you.
They're gonna lose. I'm sorry to break your feelings.
No. I got faith. I got faith in them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's why
you said that last week.
Hey, I can't control how they make the plays. I mean, Josh Allen could have just kicked the field goal and went to overtime.
Yo,
I'm sorry.
If I'm in first place, I'm playing for locked, full home field advantage, bye week, and everything else. But hey, we're going to talk about our halfway mark next week on who is your playoff teams right now, and the scenario as who is the favorite halfway through. So, hey, tune in next week, same bat channel. You're on live with Clovercrest Media. You can also catch us on All 4 Downs on Facebook and YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our channel as well as Clovercrest Media or the CMG Sports Podcast. This is Ovi Muniz alongside with Hector V. Thank you for listening to our picks. Let us know who are your picks. And for all the listeners out there, thank you for supporting us. And once again, this is the CMG Sports Podcast presented by Clovercrest Media. Take care, everyone.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All 4 Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but you don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? And how often do you think about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies, doing the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident with your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website or give us a call at 860-430-5397.
It's been a pretty wet summer in Connecticut, and that means more mosquitoes than ever. If you didn't have your home serviced for mosquito control and find you're spending most of your time outside swatting those little pests, you are in luck. Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut provides the best value in mosquito control services because of how they treat your yard using the Mosquito Shield tailored treatment system. They don't use a fixed schedule or an identical product, one-size-fits-all service program because you can't control mosquitoes on a set number of sprays or visits. Unlike the competition, Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut will service you for the season, whatever it takes to provide superior results. This promise has awarded them an industry-leading consumer retention rating of 90%. Visit MosquitoShieldCT.com to schedule an appointment with Wade DeCesare and enjoy the rest of your summer mosquito-free.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It's another Football Friday. Yes, we are talking all football. I know the ALCS and the NLCS could be coming to an end very soon by tonight or tomorrow. We'll talk about that later in the week. But let's talk about this. Two different styles of play. Two very, very, very valuable players. But who is more valuable to their team's success? Is it King Henry or is it the great Patrick Mahomes? Also, the Bengals 4-2 right now. But are they legitimate contenders in the AFC North and in the AFC picture? And then, of course, let's finish off with the New York Football Giants. If another loss happens or occurs, what's next? What's the first move the New York Giants should be considering? That's all next on Keys to the City.
Yeah. Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we're unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. We're streaming on all social media platforms at Keys to the City. So comment, like, subscribe, or share. We will get into the New York Football Giants later on in the show. We'll be talking also the Cincinnati Bengals. You think about what we've been talking about on the show. We talk a lot of different teams now. Back then, we were just specifically talking about the same old teams. Now, we're talking about the Arizona Cardinals. We're talking about the Cleveland Browns. And now you can add the Cincinnati Bengals into the group, as are they legitimate, not just AFC North contenders, but AFC contenders. We'll talk about that in a huge AFC North matchup between those Baltimore Ravens, the red hot Baltimore Ravens, and those Cincinnati Bengals. Sorry, almost lost my cool right there. Also, let's talk about this. Let's get into this game because this is a huge game for two teams that are starting to get back to where we were expecting them to be coming into the season. A lot of high expectations from both these teams. A huge win for the Tennessee Titans on Monday Night Football, beating the once number one team we thought, the Buffalo Bills, and the Kansas City Chiefs getting back to their winning ways and beating the Washington Football Team. And these two teams, we've talked about this matchup, I think, every year because the past couple of years, they played in the AFC Championship game a couple of years ago. These teams have been at the top of the tier of the AFC within the past 3 or 4 years. And it's because of different styles of play. We know what the Kansas City Chiefs like to do. Run and gun. They like to throw the ball. They love to use Patrick Mahomes any way they can. And we know what the Tennessee Titans like to do. They love to run the ball with King Henry. And it's kind of like very similar to this Lamar Jackson. Oh, we're going to figure him out. Well, we're still trying to figure out how to stop Derrick Henry because everybody says they have the answers, but yet Derrick Henry is dominating once again and looking like he's going to maybe three-peat in the rushing title as he has almost 800 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns, and currently showing why he is the best back in all of the NFL. But my question is to you guys, whose play is more important to their team's success? Is it King Henry or is it Patty Mahomes?
Go ahead, Joe. I want to see where you go with this.
I am going to say it's King Henry. They're 0-2 when he's not in the lineup in his career. Not that the Chiefs have done much better with Pat Mahomes, but look, you just said it, Trev. 6'3", 247. He runs a 4.5 40. He can run over you. He can run past you. He can run through you. He is I'll put it to you like this. In the NFL, there's no other Derrick Henrys. No one else does what Derrick Henry does. Derrick Henry's a throwback to when I grew up watching football in the 80s, 90s, and into the 2000s. It's sort of like Mariano Rivera when he retired. Relief pitchers, closers aren't that anymore. There are no closers like Mariano Rivera anymore. I think Derrick Henry is the last of the great single featured backs in the NFL. Dalvin Cook, I'm not quite sure I don't think he's quite in Henry's league. I think he's just a rung down, I'll be honest. So, yeah, this whole team is based on this guy. Even with A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, 10 catches for 150 yards combined last week. This is the Derrick Henry show. And this team is only going to go as far as Derrick Henry can get them.
He's literally the quintessential definition of a running back. Because we use the term running back now when we think of running backs in today's football, and not just the pros, but college and even high school. There's guys that are now dual threats, pass catching. Like back in the day, running backs were, they'd be a little involved in the passing game. But the way that this game has transformed in the sense of offense, passing the football, the running back position has become that much more valuable because you have guys like Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Saquon. You have Ezekiel Elliott, just a handful of guys, Aaron Jones. I'll go with those guys that have been at the top of the food chain of those type of running backs. That's the running back now. We don't see a guy, especially a guy that's 6'3" and 240 pounds and runs 22 miles per hour and just runs past every defender. We don't see that anymore. Derrick Henry is made different. He is the definition of an NFL running back, or I should just say running back, because NFL running backs, we don't get that nowadays. This is the definition of a true running back.
Okay. Yeah, also, I don't think this team can be successful at all without Derrick Henry. Again, it would be hard for the Chiefs, but I think with a guy like Andy Reid, I think the Chiefs could survive and still be a playoff caliber team. Maybe not this year, being that division is as good as it is, but I don't know. There's just I think Derrick Henry is one of the most irreplaceable guys in the NFL when you think about what he does. You can say the same thing about McCaffrey and the same thing about Saquon. You can't just stick one guy back there and be like, do what he does. Not going to happen.
Can't replicate it.
Look at Minnesota and the production Minnesota gets from its backups when Cook misses games.
The guy Madison has been pretty solid. And
he has been really good, and that's why I'm saying Dalvin Cook's kind of a different animal. Yeah, that's what right. Well, there's very few guys like McCaffrey or Barkley, really with just the all around game, and then Henry, who's just the prototypical workhorse NFL running back that we just don't see anymore.
So I agree with
Can't
all the
replace
points.
That.
Well, here's the one thing: there is no Derrick Henry. There's nobody even close to it. The biggest thing that I can think is Jim Brown, where he was just that big, that much stronger. He's as big as your biggest player, and he's faster than your fastest. I mean, he just ran off this past weekend 21.8 miles an hour, the fastest of any player this whole season for a touchdown run, 65 yards. And you could see it too as he got farther down the field.
Glides, man. He just
glided and pulled. He doesn't get caught. There is no one like him in the league. There's no running back like him. And the reason why I say that is, first of all, and then I'll get to my answer to this question is, which is kind of going to be funny because it's going to be opposite, is Joe, you were talking about Dalvin Cook. Right? Alexander Madison, they lose Dalvin Cook. The guy still produces. Go look at your fantasy numbers when Dalvin Cook still produces, all right? Zeke Elliott, he gets hurt, no problem. Tony Pollard might be just as good, if not better, when he's in the backfield for the Dallas Cowboys. Nick Chubb gets hurt. Kareem Hunt doesn't miss a step for the Cleveland Browns. The Giants, we don't know about Barkley because he's never on the field. Now, the only person you can come close to is Christian McCaffrey because of what he does outside of just the running back position, because he's you would call Weapon X. You could do whatever you want. He can play slot. He can play slot and have 100 catches a year like he does in the backfield. He can play running back and have 1,500. I don't think there's really any guy like him in the league at his position. Maybe the closest would be Alvin Kamara, but I just wanted to make sure what Derrick Henry has done this season is irremarkable. It's crazy to think that he could be setting for a back-to-back 2,000-yard season. Currently, there's 6 running backs this year that have 100-plus touches in the NFL. Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, and Zeke Elliott. Derrick Henry has 163 touches this year. The next closest guy is Najee Harris at 111. He has 53 more touches, or 50 touches more, whatever, than the next closest guy. It speaks volume to what he produces. It's the highest amount of touches in the first 5 weeks of the season since Christian McCaffrey, who had 139 in 2019. He is phenomenal, and he sets everything up for the Titans. He sets up their play-action game with Ryan Tannehill and the passing down the field. But if I had to pick a guy, even though King Henry and Joe, you're right, they're 0-2 when he doesn't play, and there's no one like him. He's so dominant. He controls the game. He's because when you run the football, you control the clock, you keep the defense off the field. And I thought this would be an easy answer, but then as you guys were saying, and I do agree with you, I got to go with Patrick Mahomes only in this sense of looking at the two teams this season. More likely than not, I would have favored Derrick Henry, but when I think of this Chiefs team, they have nothing in the sense of running game. They have no running game. Patrick Mahomes is Mr. Everything for them. And if he doesn't play exceptional, they lose games, which you're not used to seeing the past few years. But if we're talking about right now, today, on October 22nd, 2021, as great as Derrick Henry is and should be up for the MVP debate, it's got to be Patrick Mahomes because of the offensive line that's been weak for the Kansas City Chiefs. They got no running game, so everything is put on his shoulders. Everything that he does is quantified that much more so. You mean if he doesn't make the big play, which he leads the league in touchdown passes with 18, he's got more touchdown passes for over 30 yards plus this season. Everything is so dominant on him, and I think they fall. What's the word? They fall into the thing where, like, hey, don't worry, if it doesn't happen, Patrick Mahomes is going to come save the day like Superman. And here's the thing: I think the Titans, because of Julio Jones and because of Ryan Tannehill and because of AJ Brown, even if Derrick Henry doesn't go off, they could still win football games. All right. And I even say more so with the Chiefs too, because now you got to look at their defense. Their defense is such a liability this year that they're giving up almost 30 points a game, that if Mahomes doesn't score 30 points a game, they have no chance of winning. So, I mean, listen, you're not wrong with either guy. I'll pick Patrick Mahomes in the sense that they have no running game. They don't have a backup plan. They have no backup plan. Not that the Titans have a backup running back, because unlike any other running back in the league, everyone has a backup running back that you know of. You don't know the Titans running back because he never sees the field because he doesn't need to. Because even Patrick Mahomes says this guy gets 20, 30, 40 carries a game. And the next week, he looks just as fresh as he did the week one. And right now, he's on pace, Derrick Henry, to break the all-time rushing record, the all-time rushing attempts, the most purpose yards in a season. And I forget what the hell the other stat was that I had for him. But it's incredible what Derrick Henry has done this season so far and what he is doing in a time where, Trev, you had started this conversation off, where it's a pass first, run second league.
So I'll go one step ahead of you with a little stat for you. So since he's come in 2017, do you want to know what the Tennessee Titans record is when he rushes over 100 yards?
It's something in zero, I'll bet.
Nope, it's 20. He's 25-3.
Not
they
bad.
are 20. The
Wait,
Titans
really? 25-3 when he
I'm looking at it right now. The Titans are 25-3. Their last loss coming this year to the Jets, which it should have never happened. But yes, when Derrick Henry rushes for over 100 yards, he does. The Titans do not lose football games. So when they established that running attack, you saw what they did against Buffalo, and we talked about Buffalo being the most complete team in all of the NFL coming into Monday night. We're thinking they're the best team in football. That defense was dominant. That defense has been dominant. That Titans rushing attack, Derrick Henry picked them apart, and torched them for 3 touchdowns. So he's doing something right. This Titans team, I know it's so old school philosophy because we're in a passing league now. You don't win by running the football. Well, the stats speak for itself. When Tennessee gives him the ball and Tutu does his thing, they're usually winning football games most of the time. So that's what it comes down to. Patrick Mahomes, we know what Patrick Mahomes can do. He's unlike any quarterback we've ever seen with his ability to stretch the play, his crazy throws. We haven't seen it like that. If I'm going to go with it, honestly, I'm going to go with King Henry. I am going to go with King Henry because I know that this Chiefs team is still talented enough to win football games, like Joe was saying. Do they get to a Super Bowl? Do they win a Super Bowl? Probably not. But Derrick Henry, if you take Derrick Henry off this Tennessee Titans team, yes, you look at this offense with AJ Brown and Julio Jones, they haven't gelled yet. That offense, that receiving core hasn't gelled yet. Tannehill is struggling. They rely so much on Derrick Henry. If there's one player that's non-quarterback that might be the most valuable player in all of football, it's Derrick Henry. He's got to be one of the first names that come to mind by far. That's what he brings for this team. They're a running style football team. And we hear it with Lamar Jackson. We hear it with Derrick Henry. We're going to figure him out. Well, we are still now going into week 7, and Derrick Henry is leading the league once again in rushing touchdowns, in rushing yards. rushing touches in this season. He's looking like he's going to have another huge historical season. And if it wasn't for the outstanding, exceptional quarterback play, Derrick Henry would be much higher on people's MVP list because that's how good he's been. And this Tennessee Titans team has not been good. They're not a good team right now. Yes, they had a huge win. Maybe that changes the whole season from here on out. But that was a huge win on Monday night. But they haven't looked pretty yet. They haven't looked decisive enough for me. But that was a huge win on Monday night to get it going. And Derrick Henry, it revolves around 22. And he's been doing his thing. And that's why he's the best back in football right now and the best non-quarterback in all of football currently too. Maybe not named Aaron Donald. And him and Aaron Donald, those are the two players that come to mind that are non-quarterbacks that would be my most valuable players. I mean, they're just both of those guys are generational talents. And in a day where running backs have kind of dipped off, the value of running backs have dipped off, Derrick Henry has shown what a true alpha back can do for an organization.
Think about the alternative. If Henry is out, you're talking about Tannehill throwing 45, 50 times in a game to make up for it. That is not a recipe for a win in Tennessee, even with Jones and Brown, obviously. So he is, especially I think this year with the way things have gone in Kansas City. I mean, I do think he's more important to his team's success because his team is going to, I think, have success. And I think Mahomes and company might I think they might end up on the outside looking into the postseason.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. The Chiefs' defense is giving up the worst.
No,
they're giving up 7.1 yards per play.
Tennessee's defense ain't much better.
Ain't much better than here, kid.
Ain't much better than here, kid.
And I'm not disagreeing with any because you guys are both right. I think we're all right in our sense. But I look at the Chiefs and go, that defense right now is historically bad. All right. There is no running game whatsoever. There's zero running game. You watch the Chiefs game, they don't even try to run the football.
They got
listen, I know they have a revamped offensive line. It should be much better than they play. I know they have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. But we've seen that if Mahomes doesn't make that special play, they're pedestrian. There's nothing special about him. And I feel like there's so much and maybe it's because the way we look at Mahomes now, where there's an expectation that he needs to be Superman all the time, that he needs to make that great play, that he has to throw the ball for 5,000 yards. I mean, he's leading the league in touchdown passes. I feel like if every game he has to throw for 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns for them to be successful and win, because they have no running game. Their defense gives up tons of points, gives up tons of yardage. And here's the thing, the way I look at this, I'm trying to think of the old Colts team or whatever, but you score 30 points a game, your defense gives up 31, you lose. You played great. I mean, where the pressure is let's put this game in perspective, right? The Titans get, say, 10 possessions, right? And the Chiefs get 10 possessions. And Derrick Henry and the Titans are controlling the clock, something we've always talked about with the Giants. It's 2-1 possession. It's going to be like if Mahomes doesn't score every time he touches the ball offensively, they're going to lose. Because their defense is on the field for so long, they can't get people off. So there's more pressure for him to score every time, where I feel like the Titans, because of Derrick Henry, can control the game and play their game style. You know what I mean? They control the game pace. Where the Chiefs, you're like, you don't know if they're up or down or where they're coming from, and they have to score from all over.
Well, we'll see what happens.
And it puts more pressure on Mahomes.
Let me give you one last thought. Listen, you talked about Mahomes and Jackson. Look, these are guys who you can scheme against. You could run a spy against Jackson. The league's figure it out, Jackson. I understand that. Look, he had a great passing game a couple weeks ago. Again, I don't know that changed my mind about him as a passer one game. We saw Bill Belichick figure out Tom Brady in a big way just a couple weeks ago. Other than loading the box, what can you do against Derrick Henry? And now with the 2 wide receivers, you can't even load the box against Tennessee. So there's no way to scheme against Derrick Henry personally, and there's nothing to figure out unless you can find a linebacker who's 6'8" and runs a 4.2 40. You're screwed. This guy's an animal. He's a beast. Again, you say Jim Brown, pick Walter Payton, any of those big-bodied pound-em backs. That's what Derrick Henry is. And as I remember growing up, you can't stop those guys. You can only hope to contain them.
Walter Payton was smaller, but you were probably thinking more like Larry Zonka, Franco Harris, Otis Anderson for the Giants.
He didn't run small, Peyton. You know what I mean?
He always ran bigger.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't. I mean, I know he was small in stature, but he certainly, he was a bruiser. He came right at you. He could run around you, but he could take some contact. Again, it's that prototypical. You just don't see it anymore. This guy's an amazing throwback. And when you think about all the touches and the fact the guy's missed 2 games.
Yeah.
That's it.
He doesn't get hurt and he doesn't fumble. That's another.
There's another great point. There you go.
You can't go wrong with either one. Both are so valuable to each team. It's just with the way this game is going and with the way he can't get figured out, Derrick Henry, for me, would be the more valuable guy. Patrick Mahomes, yeah, he's doing his thing. I know that the stats don't say, or the stats say, but the record doesn't say. We'll have to see what happens. It should be a hell of a game. It always is a fun game to watch these two teams play. I expect it to be the same like it's been in the past. Speaking of a game that, has some intrigue going on in the NFL now, maybe in the past couple of years hasn't had the intrigue, hasn't had the appeal to those fans, is because of how bad one franchise has been, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals. Right now, currently, they are 4-2, but a lot of their games are by a field goal. 4 of their 6 games by only a field goal. They haven't really had the strongest schedule. Their big loss was it could be 5-1. Legitimately could be 5-1 had that not crazy field goal kicker game that just went haywire for both kickers.
Well, they could have also lost to the Jags.
This has been a series that's been dominated by the Baltimore Ravens. And the Baltimore Ravens have been one of the consistent powers of the AFC for quite some time. Well, now you got the Bengals, a new look team, new jerseys, got some nice weapons. Joe Burrow's playing well. Zach Taylor's playing for his job, and the defense is playing inspired. It's not all-time great, but it's playing inspired. The offensive line is still a question mark. They got to get that figured out down the line to keep Joe Burrow from not having a shortened career. But guys, I'm going to ask you, are the Bengals legitimate? Are they a legitimate contender, not just in the AFC North, but in the AFC picture? I know Joe had them actually in his top 10. I didn't put the top 10 list, but he had the Bengals in the top 10. I want to know, are the Bengals legit to both of you guys?
Now, when I'll ask this, even though I kind of know your answer. When you say legit, you talking playoff team or you talking Super Bowl caliber?
I mean, a playoff team.
All right.
We got to pump that. Look, when we think of the Bengals, we're not going to go automatically right to Super Bowl. This is a playoff caliber team.
So legitimate, yeah, they're legitimate enough right now. I don't expect them to beat the Ravens. I think the Ravens are a better team. They've been here before. They know what to expect. Their coach is well greased up and veteran. Harbaugh knows how to win it. Lamar's playing outstanding football. They're a better team right now. Are the Bengals legitimate? Absolutely. Can they make a run? Absolutely. They're a year away. They're where we thought some like other teams like the Chargers are now, where we thought the Dolphins would be right now, where some of these other teams, when you're like, they're right there, they're on the cusp. If you're a Bengals fan, you got to love your future, all right? You got to love where you're at right now. Zach Taylor and the team looks like they're gelling. They've made some great moves in the offseason. They brought in Trey Hendrickson from the Saints, who's got 5.5 sacks, been a pass rusher. Your boy Sam Hubbard from Ohio State's been another great defensive end, prowess guy. They traded for B.J. Hill from the Giants. He's been a great run stopper for the Giants. The Giants. Oh, I'm sorry. He don't play on the Giants no more. He helps the Bengals win games. Eli Apple has actually played really good cornerback for the Bengals this year, even though Trey Waynes has been out. I'm drawing a blank. They brought in Von Bell, another Ohio State safety.
The kid Logan Wilson's been playing great.
Logan Wilson, the kid from Wyoming, who you and me both.
I wanted the Giants to grab.
He's a playmaker at middle linebacker. He's all over the field. And then you got to look at offensively, right? What's the first thing every team needs, right? You need a quarterback. Well, I think they found Joe Flo and Joe Burrow, and I think he's going to be another great one that we're going to watch for the next 10 years as long as his health can stay maintained. You got a left tackle in Jonah Williams. Been pretty well. The offensive line's been pretty good, much better than last year. They're improving. You got a solid running back. These are things like, when I'm talking about this, I'm thinking about the Giants and the same thing. You got a quarterback that you really love and you like, and he's a game changer. I watch him. He's got moxie. He makes the plays. He makes all the big throws. Didn't need him, but I'll tell you, he's a stud, and he makes that team stand out. Jamar Chase is the star, bro. And watch out, because you're looking at one of the best receivers in football, if not now, in the near future. He's unbelievable. He's got more 30-yard catches down the field. He's phenomenal with T. Higgins, with Tyler Boyd. I mean, you look at that offense and looking at the Bengals down the road, they're going to be a contender. They're going to be a legitimate team because they're going to be able to score with you. The defense has played much better. They're top 10 in defense this year. They're not giving up big plays. And so your question, are they legitimate? Absolutely. Now, are they Super Bowl caliber? Not yet. They're not at that level. I still think like the Chargers, the Bills, the Ravens are better teams. I think even the Chiefs, even though the record doesn't prove it, I think if you put those two teams on a neutral site, the Chiefs would be at least a 7-point favorite. But the Bengals are there. If you're a Bengals fan, you got to like where your team is heading. You're heading in the right direction. You got great pieces. And I think with a guy like Joe Burrow at the helm, you got a chance to win every week. I mean, he's got to learn to slide a little bit more. You don't need him diving for first downs. Even Aaron Rodgers said, slide, dude. You're good. We don't need – I mean, if there's one thing you've learned from Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, from these guys, don't go for the extra yard unless it's John Elway in the Super Bowl. Don't go for it. I'd let someone else go get it, okay? We need you on the next play. But they are legitimate. I don't think they'll beat the Ravens. But that's a team that, like, at the end of the season, they might not make the playoffs, but they might be there for that 7th seed right there in Week 17. Where, like, hey, if they won that one extra game,
they have.
I mean, hey, listen, here's the thing: they're fighting. If they win this week, they're first place in the NFC North, and they're top 3 in the AFC. And you're like, all right, they're here. I mean, this is why it's a very crucial game for the Cincinnati Bengals. Something that we're not used to saying for the past 10 years.
Joe Burrow, I'm still not 1,000,000% convinced on, from the standpoint of, first of all, he's 1-4 against the AFC North. If you look at his career wins and check out his splits. Plays great against teams like Jacksonville, the Lions. He struggles against really good teams. And I suspect the game against the Ravens is going to be a very similar thing. So, look, with Chase and Mixon and Burrow, like you said, Teddy, I think next year this team really starts to fall in the form. The defense is playing a lot better. I think there still needs to be some development time. But Joe Burrow, to me, desperately needs a game like this against a quality opponent and to go out there and win it and play well. Yeah. If he can do that this week or at some point before the season's over, I'll tell you straight up, this is a legitimate team for the near future, let alone this season. I think this season's going to be tough. I think it's going to be tough with the Ravens. I think there's a lot of good surprise teams in the AFC, especially when you look at that AFC West where, you can't count the Chiefs out. So who knows how many teams might possibly end up coming out of that division. I don't know this is going to be his year, but the development I think you're seeing right now in Joe Burrow is similar to what you were seeing late in the year last year with the Chargers and with Herbert. And what did I keep saying? Got to start winning those games. And that's what Herbert's been doing. He's been winning.
And now he's beating Mahomes. He's beating these teams.
There you go.
And I was going to say, Joe, is this your argument where last year we're like, dude, we see Herbert and you're like, Ted, he's got to start winning some real games, some crucial games against – because here's the thing. Look at the division itself, and I know, Trev, you'll probably talk about it. Lamar Jackson, MVP, stud, star. We know the Steelers got a solid defense. They're always a pain in the rear end. But Big Ben, he's not there. The Browns, they got Baker. You don't even know what the hell. But you're right there, bro. Like, if you want to take that next step, and that's something the Chargers did, Herbert beat Mahomes. Herbert went in and beat Mahomes. Joe Burrow, if you want to be that guy, you got to go in and beat Lamar Jackson, because right now Lamar is the best quarterback in that division. That's how you take the crown.
And on top of it, these two teams played last year, and it was a combined 65-6. So this Bengals team is, I would say, light years better than
only played in one of those games.
They're all put together. They're starting to get put together. This team is starting to figure out its groove. It's figuring out, and also the schedule. I was just looking at their schedule. They play Baltimore. It's not a bad schedule. They play at Baltimore. If you win this game, then you go to New York, you play the Jets. Then you play the Browns. Who knows what they're going to be like at that time. Then you go to Vegas. You got the Steelers, and then you got the Chargers. That's going until December 5th. So that's their schedule after this Baltimore game. If they can win this game,
it could propel
the Cincinnati Bengals could really do some damage. And I mean damage going into the AFC. I mean, their defense has been playing to the part where you got to give them some respect. Their offense has talent all over the place. We didn't even bring up their running back, Joe Mixon, who if he could stay healthy, he's a top 10 type back, workhorse type back for this team. I really think this team is going in the right direction. It's more, you see these teams, it's fascinating to see teams like the Bengals, the Cardinals, the Browns, 3 teams that have been historically bad, but are starting to figure out their future, make adjustments. They're making the right picks. They're hires. They're starting to figure out this franchise and their culture. They're trying to build a culture. And you see teams like the Giants and Jets who still can't figure it out for years now. And it's just fascinating to see, well, Burrow, how he's changed his game. If he could, like you said, if he could change the way he slides, this man could be around for a long time. But if you want to be legitimate, you got to beat the best type of teams. And this is one of the teams that have been, not just this year, but for the past 10 years or so. And since I've been watching football, the Baltimore Ravens have been the cream of the crop of the AFC, just like the Steelers, just like the Patriots. You have to beat teams like this to get credibility. Yeah, you could be 4-2 right now. It's nice to be 4-2, of course. But who have you beaten? It's who you've beaten. The one team that you had an opportunity to beat. Look, you beat the Steelers, you beat the Vikings. We don't know what the Vikings are. The Bears, you lost to the Bears. We don't know what the Bears are. The Steelers, we don't know what the Steelers are. The Jaguars, they're not a good team. The Packers, you should have beaten them. And then you beat the Lions, who are the only winless team. So who is this team?
So you're winning the games you're supposed to.
We're going to find out if this team is legitimate. I know it's in Baltimore, but that's fine. You got to go on the road sometimes, and you got to win those road games.
Would you give me that you'd like to see Joe Burrow have a big game against a good team? Look, even if they don't beat the Ravens, he can't be like 19 for 34 for 196 yards and a pick. That can't be his line this week against the Ravens. This guy's got to light it up like he's playing the Jaguars or one of those teams. Show me when you're playing a good defense in a big game that you can come up big. If Joe Burrow can do that for me, I'll jump on the Joe Burrow train like I have with Justin Herbert. You got to be able to play big in those big games. Joe Burrow's got all the talent in the world. We both brought up Joe Mixon, by the way, and I even went so far as to mention Jamar Chase. Thanks for not listening.
I said that too. Look, I only said one of the best receivers probably in the league.
I know.
I didn't say anything about Jamar Chase. I didn't bring that up.
They've got excellent weapons, but now's the time to you can't lose to all the good teams, and he can't keep playing poorly in big games against the better teams. And I think really, to me, it starts with this game. Go out there and show us what you got.
We talked about this.
I want to answer this quick question. The way the Ravens know,
I'm not saying he's just making a statement. Listen, I know they're not 10-time Super Bowl champs.
I know they're not. No,
I get it, but I'd rather be a fan of the Ravens the last 25 years than a fan of the Giants, because every year they're in the playoffs. Every year they're competitive, and every year
this wasn't for you. This was specifically for me, so I can explain myself. Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyways, so the reason why I said that the Ravens are one of the cream of the crops of the AFC, because other than the Patriots the past 20 years, maybe the Steelers, maybe the Colts, who would you put over them? Where do the Ravens rank? Like, the Ravens are at that cream of the crop. They've been at the top of the food chain of the AFC. Yes, they haven't won 10 Super Bowls, but still, that's a team that's always been in the playoffs and with the same amount of Super Bowls the past 20 years. Okay. But who is that? I want to know who this is.
That's Sander.
Sander. Hey, guess what? And the Giants and Ravens have won more Super Bowls than the Dallas Cowboys the past 20 years. So shut it. My thing is, hold on. Thank you. Yeah, let's go Dallas. Yeah, go Dallas. Up yours. My thing is the same amount of Super Bowls. Okay. How many winning seasons has the Giants had in the past 20 years, and how many winning seasons has the Ravens had in the past 20 years? Don't compare the Giants and the Ravens right now. Yeah, they might have the same Super Bowls, but guess what? There's one team that's going in the right direction, and there's one team that's going in the wrong direction. And let's get right into it, because we're going to transfer right into it.
Just blew off what the hell I was saying. I was waiting for Joe.
Because I don't want to listen to you.
Your dumb question.
You take too long. You drag.
No, I wasn't. I was going to stem into the Giants thing, but I was just going to say.
You raising your hand? What is this? What is this, math class?
I don't know if this is true or not, but this was given to me. Supposedly, this is on Trevor's other wall. So I don't know if that's really in your room or not. That's what was told to me.
No, Joe. This is on my wall. How to hold a
I can sign that for you.
Oh, thanks. I'll be up in a little while. I'll be up in I can't wait to get a sub like this.
Yes, sir. We're getting that. Yes, we are.
So what I was going to say was I was going to reiterate the Browns defense, how they've improved. They're fifth in the NFL, only giving up 18.5 points. But what I was going to say is, and stem into the Giants, is when you make the right picks and the players actually turn out, when you hit on the quarterback, when you hit on the receiver, when you hit on the left tackle, when you draft certain pieces on the defense, which the Bengals have because they've been very poor for the past 5 or 6 seasons, you start to get this. And this is what you expect. And then when I was going to say, when you look at the Giants, and every week I feel like we're talking about the same things, we're questioning the quarterback if he's the right guy. Do you have the right coach? Oh, I mean, I guess we got the left tackle right now. I mean, listen, thank God, Andrew Thomas, but he's out for 3 more weeks. See you in November. See you after Thanksgiving. That's the next time he's playing. You know what I mean? We draft Odell Beckham Jr. We're like, hey, we got a stud from LSU. Don't worry, we're going to trade you when we say we're not going to trade you. We'll draft a running back when we need like 10,000 other pieces. I understand he's not Derrick Henry. He gets hurt. So
that's what I'm saying.
So the reason what happens is when you don't hit on your picks and then you overspend in free agency because you're trying to compensate for the losers you've already drafted, now you fall into what the situation that we are now currently in the state of.
I mean, they're in
horror.
the NFL.
We are in 365 days of horror as a Giant fan. That's what it is. Because what was it? The fish stinks. What did Joe just say? I'm going to make sure I got his quote right. What was the quote? Yeah, the fish stinks from head down. Well, I guess that stems from him in the organization. Because I would have loved to see what the tabloids had in New York today about that. Because they ran with that. There's probably like a fish with Joe Jed's head on, or maybe Mirror or Gettleman. I mean, we're ready to.
Don't you get the New York Post?
We're like chopping heads off right now, and like the fish market has all the Giant plays, and we're like chop. Oh, we can skip that one. That's good to go. Chop. I mean, let's get it right into it. Me and Joe and you talked about this. I said, let me highlight this and share my screen page. I said 76% of the Giants offense will not be playing in this week's game. You hear that, folks? 76% of the Giants. They will be out without Barkley. They will be out with Kadarius Toney. No Galladay. Thanks for showing up this season. All right. Possibly Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, John Ross, tight end Caden Smith. And let's add the great Evan Ingram to the injury list. I don't know who we're throwing. Trev, you got any eligibility left? Because, listen, the Giants are going to lose. Maybe, who knows? They'll win. Who knows? You never know. They'll get someone off.
If they win this game, I'll be more disappointed.
Here's the thing. This game right here, this season, this might be the telling story of the whole season. Because as much as you want to say the Giants as a whole should not win, they don't deserve to win, they have no chance to win, everything that has occurred the last 2 weeks between the 2 blowouts, now you got foreign players. I mean, everyone's under fire right now. I mean, Amani Doomer having conversations with John Mara, talking about the dysfunction with this team, the lack of effort. Talent is not effort. Effort is by yourself, how much is given. And you watch the last week game against the Rams, there was no effort. You can't coach effort. That has to be built into heart and individuality and something that you've been born with. You can't make someone do something if they don't want to do it. So the Giants have to come out and play with it. They have to play like the Seattle game last year. Like they got nothing to lose. Like if we lose, we're all going to lose our jobs. If we win, we get to keep our jobs for another week. That's how they have to play this week. Because last year we didn't give them a chance against Seattle. Most people are not giving them a chance against Carolina. I mean, listen.
I think Joe picked them to beat Seattle.
Yeah, I think he did too.
I think he picked them.
And I think Joe said if they're going to win, they got to win like 20-17, 17.
No, they're going to win like 12-10.
But I mean, that's how the Giants are going to have to win this week. Because I don't know who Daniel Jones is going to be throwing to. I don't know who's going to be blocking for Daniel Jones. It might be kill the man with the ball and just play rugby football and just keep tossing around.
Well, it doesn't help that the Panthers are bringing in 2 guys that love to get to the quarterback and a guy that the Giants are very familiar with, Hassan Reddick. He dominated the Giants last year in Arizona. He has
4 sacks or 5 in that game.
He had like three or it felt like three.
I think
it felt
four
like
in the
20.
game against the
It
Giants. I
felt
think it
like
was
20.
4.
And you also got a very talented guy in Brian Burns, who's been exceptional since being drafted. That was one of the guys that the Giants were hoping to draft before the Panthers snagged him. It's just you see draft picks like that. This is what the Giants are right now. This is the current state of the New York football. It's a disaster. It's a mess. They're on the verge of being part 3 of the rebuild. But first, like I said on John about the G-Man the other day, for you to get to a rebuild, you actually have to start somewhere. You can't keep going back to step 1. And the Giants are on the verge of going back to step 1, which is looking for a new coach, looking for a new GM. I think the GM is a definite. The head coach is still up for debate. That could be leaning towards maybe another new head coach. And then the quarterback situation. That's another one that are they going to give – we don't know what's going to happen with Daniel Jones. Other than last week, he has played to a part that we said, okay, we give him the opportunity to continue to play. Other than last week, take away last week's game, he was playing pretty well so far early on in the season.
And I get it.
Wasn't playing amazing.
Hold
on. He wasn't playing amazing, but he was playing to a part that we could say, okay, I can live with that. Other than last week. And then you got all the other question marks. Your defense is back to going to step 1, which is being god-awful. I don't know what's happened to that defense. Maybe that's just a bunch of overachievers from last season. But when we see this team right now, 1-5 on the verge of maybe being 1-6, this is going to have to be something. And the trade deadline's a couple days away.
11 days away, sir.
They're going to have to figure out a solution and figure out some sort of future direction. Because right now, we talked about it heavily last year. We thought this team had finally an identity. I feel like we're back at step 1 saying, what is this identity? Now, I know we could say, oh, well, they don't have anybody playing. I understand that. That doesn't help. But even when they were healthy and that team, when they had those players, with the exception of maybe Ingram or something, they still didn't look fantastic. And didn't blow your mind and say, I can run with this. It's still question mark city for the Big Blue.
Amani Toomer, Teddy shared an interview he did, and Amani Toomer talked about the irresponsibility in this roster comes in the fact that there's no depth. I mentioned earlier in the show, Saquon's out, and you're trying to, last year you were trying to fill that with Devontae Freeman and Wayne Gallman.
Yep.
And this year you're doing it with Devontae Booker. That guy's not even in the same league. Stop it. You're back up to Daniel Jones last year was Colt McCoy. This year, it's Mike Glennon. That's horrible depth. There's so many better guys out there. We talked about this on the phone a couple days ago, Trev, right? So looking at it from those standpoints, depth, because the Ravens and a lot of teams have had injuries, and they got off to a slow start, and they've had to adjust on the fly.
Yep.
The Ravens have signed literally every 38-year-old running back who used to be good.
No, every great running back from 2017 or so.
Dude, if you thought about Le'Veon Bell and Devontae Freeman
and Lat Murray all on the same
team. And Lat Murray, you would be like, we got an all-star backfield.
So look, I think if the Giants lose this week, I think the first thing that should happen is that if I'm John Mara, I would call David Gettleman into my office and I would tell him to step down immediately. I'll give you.
That's not going to happen, though. That's not who the Giants organization is. They will wait till the end.
Okay, in this case, then what they should do is then guess what? Look, we're gonna have to pull.
What they should and what they will do are two different things.
But what I'm saying is,
Peter King was on today and said the Giants.
I'll tell you right now, I don't know that John Mara can sit through another week of the stadium booing
and walking out.
That's embarrassing. And I think, we question this guy as an owner. He's got pride and he's got a temper too. He flipped a chair a few weeks ago. He'll do it again.
What I would say is if he talked to Gettleman, almost just play it out. Like the whole situation, just play the season out. It's a lost season again. And then you go back to square one. You start figuring out who you want to hire as a coach. And you got to start having to change the philosophy. You can't be getting in-house guys anymore. It's not working. It's not.
You would be well served.
That's what it's become.
They would be well served to ask Gettleman to step down immediately, have whoever his assistant is take over, at least on the short term.
Yeah, because here's the
And
thing: if they don't
because
get
listen,
rid
when
of
the season ends, you know what you don't want when the season ends? You don't want guys already getting snatched up because they don't know if your job's available. Because maybe you wait a week after the Super Bowl, you're going to lose out on people.
So I agree with your statement, Joe. Because here's the thing: they're probably okay. So Peter King was on Colin earlier, and they were talking. And he was starting off with Joe Judge and the Giants, and listen. The Giants are dealing with injuries. Listen, the teams are dealing with injuries. You got to overcome. You got to find a way to be better. And a lot of that has to do with coaching. Oh, wait, what do we have? What can we do well? And let's do that. Let's just focus on what we can do well. Let's not worry about what we can't do. Let's focus on what we can't do. And if that's 3 or 4 plays, like this is what we do. We can run right, and we can run off tackle, and we can play action pass, and that's what we do. And we're going to beat it to death until someone stops it. Joe, I agree with you on the GM thing, but the Giants are not that organization to fire the GM during the season. They didn't do it with Reese, right? They didn't do it. Can't think of them ever doing that. They're not that organization to do that. Even Peter King said the Giants won't do that. They'll probably wait to this season. They'll fire Gettleman.
It's very rare for the
They're gonna bring back Joe Judge, understanding that John Mara, when he hired him, really loved Joe Judge, loved everything, said we were going to give this guy every opportunity to succeed. So you got to give him another year. Because think about it. How can this guy succeed when 3/4 of the offense is on hurt? You got a liability as an offensive coordinator, Jason Garrett, right? Maybe Trev, you were right on the defense overachievers. Got to give this guy one more chance. So they're going to find a GM that can build with Joe Judge. The reason why I agree with Joe's statement, to go back to what I started the conversation with, is if Gettleman is not fired within 11 days and he decides to start making some – because here's the question. Here's the question I'll bring to all three of us is, in 11 days the trade deadline is, right? The Giants are out of the playoffs. We know that. That's the question. If the Giants get – so happily – depends how they lose this week. But if they lose bad or they lose 2 in the next 2 weeks before the trade deadline, do the Giants have a fire sale? And if the Giants do have a fire sale, do you let Gettleman run the trades knowing that he probably will not be there in the offseason? You know what I mean? Is he going to be trading a guy that maybe a GM or someone else wants next season, but he ain't going to have a say because he ain't there right now? You know what I mean? Who's running the show? Who's going to have the final say? Maybe it'll still be the Maras, but I guarantee Gettleman's the one making the calls. John Mara ain't calling, the Dallas Cowboys and going, hey, what can I get for
it doesn't get any better because next week after this game, they go to Kansas City on Monday Night Football.
So, and probably the trade deadline is probably like 2 days later.
The next day.
So, I mean –
and then they play the Raiders, and then they play the Bucks, and then they play the Eagles and the Dolphins. That's until December 5th.
That's why I think this game is so important, not only for you as a player, but the organization.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be like one of those games, I can't think of the word, but the heart game. What do you got? If you lose, how do you lose? We can accept defeat in a battle, in a war, and you're like, hey, you just
can't accept like how it was last week. Can't accept how it was last week. Can't be having people move up, leaving at halftime, booing as you're down by 4 touchdowns.
Because
that can't happen. If
you go new coach and you do what Trev you were saying, the problem is, are we done with Daniel Jones then? Because here's the thing. It happened with the Cardinals. They drafted a quarterback. They thought that guy from UCLA is, and this is what you do in the NFL. If you don't think he's good enough, draft the quarterback again next year. And if he ain't good enough, draft another quarterback. And keep drafting a quarterback until you get Joe Burrow or Kyler Murray or Justin Herbert or Mahomes. Because now we have learned, unless you're the Tennessee Titans and you have Derrick Henry, which no one else has in the league except for them, you better have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, or you better have an elite defense or something because as good as the Browns are, all right, talent. When we did the show week 1, we said the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Browns probably have the 2 best teams, rosters as a whole, offensive line, defensive line. You break it down, you're like, the Browns got 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, receivers, linemen. You're like, but the one liability is the quarterback. Is he good enough to get you over the hump? Is he good enough to be a Justin Herbert? Is he good enough to be a Mahomes? Is he good enough to beat a Josh Allen? Are you good enough to beat Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady?
Are you good enough to hang your hat on something?
What are the Giants good at? What I mean? I could say, hey, listen, Daniel Jones is still good, but the Giants players, he's been hurt, but he's still winning. Like Lamar, he's good. He's missing pieces, missing Sammy Watkins, Marquise Brown's out, missing tight ends, linemen, and he just keeps producing. Can you produce? You have to overcome these negatives, and that's the only question is if you do full rebuild, what happens with Barkley? What happens? I mean, are we scrapping the whole thing? I mean, are we ripping this whole thing to shreds? Because I feel like when you look at this team, there is pieces. I mean, as a Giant fan, you got to be like, what can you hold your head up high on? What can you say like, well, we got good receivers. Well, they can't stay healthy. Shepard, I love Shepard.
Yeah.
I've loved him since he got drafted out of Oklahoma. He gets hurt every year. He misses 4 or 5 games. Galladay, that was his one negative. He gets hurt. Barkley's been hurt every year except for that 1 year. What can the Giants hold their head up high on that you could stand on foundation and float above water? I don't know right now. That's sad to say because all three of us, at least at the end of the season, when we're doing our final Giant review, we're like, well, you know what? The Giants defense is there. They're good enough. We've got a couple more pieces, get a pass rush. We could be right there, top 10 defense. We're there. If we get a better offense line, we run the football with Barkley and Daniel Jones, will be great. And I just don't know if we have anything to hold our head up high anymore.
Joe, finish up.
Look, I think that they should trade Evan Engram. I think they, like Teddy said, you can get a 5th round, 4th, 6th round, 7th round. I'll take anything really at this point. He doesn't fit. He doesn't fit. You're not using him. Just get rid of him. I would like to make one prediction, and I feel like this is an absolute lock. When Joe Judge gets fired, and I don't know when that's going to be, the back page of the Post, sleeping with the fishes.
Ooh.
You like that?
And then,
You're welcome.
And his
Post.
head, Joe, his head next to McAdoo, next to Shermer's, next to all the other Giant coaches.
We'll see what happens. But
or maybe he's on a life raft in a boat. Fishing.
I don't know what's going to happen.
By himself.
I don't know what's going to happen with this team. I don't know what they're going to do after this week. But if another performance, a putrid performance like last week ensures, then something's got to give. Something's got to do. Something's got to happen for this team. Because
if they get blown out, somebody better get fired.
Somebody's got to be, something's got to happen. If there's another blowout, there has to be some serious changes. You can't wait for much longer because it's not getting any better. The schedule is not getting any better. They're going to have to figure something out.
Any better, any easier, anything.
We'll see what happens. It's going to be a hell of a sports week again. You got the NBA. We're gonna start getting into the NBA. Me and Ted. We haven't talked about it yet. We didn't do a preview, but NBA is back. Hockey is back as well. All 4 sports are in play right now. This is a great feeling. College football. Coastal Carolina, well, now you could stop. We could ease at rest with the Coastal Carolina debate. They're done. Their season is history. We got also the ALCS and the NLCS. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be the Astros and Dodgers? Is it going to be the Braves? Can the Braves finally finish the job? We'll have all that next week at Keys of the City. We are streaming on all social media platforms at Keys of the City. So comment, like, subscribe, or share. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. We are out.
Yeah. Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness. In the making, double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we're unlocking the statements.
Hello, my name is Joe McGuire. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All 4 Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting Clovercrest